Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's very special episode of the World of Gaming, because Dutch, my friend, we need to talk about this, what is happening right now. There's something happening, tell us.
There is. It's a very different kind of episode, because
Yeah.
today it's a midweek mix-up crossover with the World of Gaming. So you're getting the same awesome podcasts, but on two awesome channels. So you've got the midweek mix-up crossover with the World of Gaming. It's the first time we've done this, but it's going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Me too. We're streaming on both our channels, the same podcast, mainly because I feel guilty, man. I feel super guilty for ditching on your show yesterday. But I had to take the chance, man. I got free tickets for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on the world's largest IMAX screen. So it's relatively close, like a 20-minute drive or so from here. We have the world's largest IMAX screen. And dude, that thing is gigantic. It's insane. 33 meters long, 28 meters in height. Man, it's bananas. And I got to watch Guardians of the Galaxy there, and I had to take the chance. So sorry for ditching out.
I don't blame you. I hope you enjoyed it.
It was awesome, man. Actually, the movie was great. And you know what? I wanted to tell you that, man. I have seen something for the very, very, very first time in my entire life. I was sitting in the movie, you know, and they rolled the ads up front, and then there was Zelda, of course, yeah, and a couple of other ads, and suddenly Diablo comes up. Diablo ad, you know, great trailer montage, and Diablo is out on June 6th on Xbox Series X and S.
Ooh.
I have never ever seen an Xbox ad, let alone like a third party that they make, where they took the page out of PlayStation's playbook. They made it sound like it's an Xbox game, man. And I have never ever seen that. So
playing by the same rules now, I feel like this is where we're going to go, and that's where they need to go, to be honest.
It is, man. Absolutely. We need to talk about this, that Xbox should take the gloves off at some point, man. And I was like, really? Okay, dude, I have to tell Dutch this. And of course, our awesome community, and I want to shout out all the people that are already here in the chat. Welcome to you guys. We're going to have an awesome show here today. We're going to have an awesome show. There's so much
shout out quickly on my side.
Yes,
for
please.
Fantoster, for the member chat, 14-month mix-up Valkyrie. He says, using my crossover episode modding powers. Happy Zelda Eve, everyone.
Happy Zelda Eve to you too, man. That's right, man. We now have to, you have to monitor your chat, and I'm going to do mine.
And you've got one now.
And I got one now, so let me catch up on that. Tron TJ, man, great to see you, bud. He sends in $2 and says, hi guys, I think the deal will go through. Yeah, man, it does sound like it. We're gonna talk about this a little later, more in detail, what happened this week. But yeah, I'm still confident and hopeful that it goes through. Mainly, only honestly, because I want it to be over. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Doran TJ. But also let me shout out to the amazing people that watch on the podcast services around the globe. And so on Spotify, on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. Man, we have been growing on Apple Podcast. So far, people have been mainly listening to us on Spotify, but recently we've seen mainly a growth on Apple Podcast, not to any big heights. Yeah, we are not like the big ones, but that's really cool, man. That's really cool. And tell people that the midweek mix-up is now also available on all the podcast services.
It is, yes. Just this week, I eventually got on top of it.
Yeah.
It was requested just before as well, specifically the showcase. Someone said, "Is your podcast on different audio platforms. I said no, but I need to get on top of it. I put it on there a while back, but didn't go through with all the other shows. So I've eventually got on top of it this week. It is now available on all major platforms. So it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google, and a few others as well. So all the major podcasting audio platforms are covered.
Absolutely awesome, man. So the midweek mix-up will be back next week on Wednesday on the regular places, but then right after that, also available on the podcast services. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, man, enough with the self-advertisement here. Let's get this show going. And whenever we don't have guests, we can play the jingles, because we've noticed, man, that the jingles confuse our guests, because we don't see here in the lobby what's happening on screen, and then they have to sit there in silent for like 10 seconds, and it's always like a weird thing. So, but with no guests today, we're gonna play the jingles, man.
Yes. Not my show. We're gonna play it.
So there we go. Because I can't remember who requested it earlier in the chat. They want to see the jingles come back. So there you go. Man, what have you been playing? And of course, people in both chats, let us know what you guys have been playing.
Definitely. So I've been playing Jedi Survivor, still playing through it. I know you've finished it now. So,
yeah, I finished.
So that's awesome. But I'm still playing through it. I'm taking my time with it. I'm not rushing it. And I've been playing as well after that. I've also played. I dropped Jedi Survivor because Ravenlock released, and I wanted to play Ravenlock. So I dropped it. Started Ravenlock on an evening, did about an hour or so, and then the next day went back into Ravenlock on the weekend and finished it. Absolutely adore that game.
Absolutely. Let me put on some gameplay, man.
Yes. Let me do the same.
There you go. Different kind of gameplay then, but still the same game.
Yes, same game, different gameplay. But yeah, absolutely adore this game. It is graphically, it is such a pretty little game to look at. But it's also a chilled hack and slash. Now, since we've both played this game, they've updated it to include difficulty levels now. So on release, there was no difficulty level. It was a walk in the park. There is still no achievements for difficulty, so don't worry about that. But it's a nice, quaint little Alice in Wonderland-esque game, should we say. It's a nice little adventure mystery game. It's, like I say, a little hack and slasher. Easy little puzzles to complete and little quests and things to do. But it's such a good little game. Nice, short, doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's a perfect little in-between game. So when you've been, especially right now with your Zelda Tears of the Kingdoms and your Jedi Survivors, all these big meaty games, this is a perfect little game to kind of slot into the middle of it. So yeah, perfect.
Absolutely. I do agree, man. I started it after finishing Jedi Survivor, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But you're right. I was not expecting much, man. I've seen the trailers, and I thought like, nice. But after you saying, man, you have to play it, I thought like, hey, great. Apparently you can beat it in 5 to 6 hours, and I feel that's right. I have not finished it just yet, but I think I'm super close to the end. Probably not more than an hour or so to go. And I thought a perfect game for in between two major games, you know. And I started it up and I was honestly surprised. Like, great atmosphere, colorful, but still like something magical to this world. And it is a fun little hack and slash. I did not expect that. I thought it's more like a riddle game, which is not. Yeah, it's classic hack and slash. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I recorded like the first hour or so, which you see here. So no big spoilers there. Just a fun little game, man. And I also finished, like I said, Jedi, man. And boy, was that a game. probably my game of the year. I'm not sure. Hogwarts was also really, really good. I really enjoyed Hogwarts. So far it's in between those two for me. But Jedi,
with Jedi, the one thing that I'm trying not to do is be a completionist first time round and do try and search for everything, because otherwise I'll never complete the game.
Yeah.
Like with Hogwarts, I had a week off and I just played that game flat out and finished it completely 100%. But I put 70 odd hours into it.
Yeah, I remember, man. You were not sleeping for 3 days straight.
I can't do that again. I don't have the time to just do that with Jedi. I'd love to, but I can't divulge that time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and restrict myself, pull back, finish the story, and then maybe just do a run through and get some collectibles and stuff done afterwards. But
see, I never go for the collectibles. I don't care about achievements, and so I just want to play the game. I did not all, but a lot of the side quests. So that I felt like I've played my fair share, and then I continue with the story. And man, the story is so good in Jedi Fallen Order. Honestly, this is the best Star Wars story we have gotten in a long time across any medium. I really enjoyed it. I liked the ending. And there were such epic action sequences in the game. I don't know how far you are, but have you been on the Dune planet, the desert planet, and finished the main quest there?
Not yet.
With the drill, yeah, not yet. Man, you are in for a treat. After that sequence, I had to put the controller down. I was smiling from ear to ear. It was just so good, so much fun. Really, really beautiful game. I had a blast, man. And the latest patch, for me, it almost came too late. Because I was already almost finished with the game, but the latest patch really improved the performance, man. Especially in performance mode. Good stuff here. Let us have a look here. What is our community playing? Whenever I don't know what to play, I just take inspiration there, and there have been actually quite a few people come up to me and said that they really enjoy that we read out what the chat is playing, because you just get an idea what our fantastic community plays, and you can get inspired to play those kind of games. So Tronty J plays Command & Conquer Red Alert 3 Commander's Challenge. Nice, man.
Classic. Nice.
Dutch, I'm starting to get over age. I'm still playing my daily match and so on, but I feel like I need to practice so much to keep up right now, with only the pros playing at this point, that I just kind of move on to more and other games. So
that's okay, Boxy. You've got over 700 hours in it.
I know.
You've played enough.
But I wish.
It's not let's face it as well, Boxy. It's Age is an awesome game you can drop and pick up at any time.
Yeah.
But it's also a game that isn't live service. It's not like a World of Warcraft where you have to log in to do your daily quests.
No.
It's not like a Sea of Thieves, which has got your weekly quests and things like that. So you don't have to worry about dropping it for a bit, because you can just literally go back
and you just need to get your skill levels back, being quick enough and so on, and adjust to the new strategies. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But where did I come from? Tronty J said Command & Conquer, and I wish we would get a proper new Command & Conquer, man.
Yeah.
No, not the live service shit or anything. So, but just a proper. So, good shout there. Good shout. So, what else? Dustin Lambert finally got some Ghostwire Tokyo in, which is awesome, man. That game took me by surprise. I've yet to finish, though. I'm in Act 4 now. I think there are 5 acts. I have to finish that, man. Then people are already starting to talk, of course, about the FTC and Lina Khan and everything. So A little later, guys. A little later.
Did you cover Fifth Horseman? Because Fifth Horseman said he's been playing Plague Tale Requiem after its new patch because he missed it at launch.
That's a good one, man. Yes, that game just got a 60 FPS patch, right?
Yes, and if you've got it on PC, improved graphical options, so even more options to go and beef up your graphics on that.
Nice.
Yes, I'm going to jump back into that actually because that's another game I dropped and didn't pick back up. So
you have to, man. You have to. The ending, dude. I'm still getting goosebumps thinking about this ending of a Plague Tale. Oof, that hit hard, man. So, what else? Superman is playing Fallout 4 in a modded state. Awesome, man. Fantasy has been playing the Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster and Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, very nice.
Breath of the Wild, getting ready for the Zelda, man. Then Fifth Horseman says he's gonna play Ravenlock later. Ninja Squirrel. Sorry, I mixed that up. Abnormal Status is playing Elden Ring on his new OLED TV. Awesome, man.
Ooh, nice.
Like, perfect game for that with the popping colors, man. Let us know which OLED did you get, man. So what else have people been playing? Forza Horizon 5. Dustin Lambert revisited that one. So yeah, man.
And Jaeger in my chat is playing Pillars of Eternity. That's a good game.
Nice.
Hope you're enjoying it.
Oh, and Red is in the chat. She's been playing 6 chapters in Ghostwire.
Nice.
But oh no, she says, there are 6 chapters. Sorry, I went over the chat too quick. Yeah. Okay, so it's 6, not 5. I have yet to finish, man. I got distracted by Jedi, honestly, which is just simply an awesome game, man. And then we have Abnormal Starters saying he got the LG Z2, which is fantastic, man. And if you need some advice on the good settings on the LG OLEDs, hit me up in the DMs, man. So good stuff. Anything else in your chat, man?
Nope, that's everything on our side.
Awesome. So Drawn TJ sends in a $5 super chat, and he said we should play Command and Conquer, any of them on PC. Me and you against the AI or against each other. Yeah, man, we need to play against the AI first because I have to. It's been too long since I played.
Remember how to play the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Command and Conquer plays vastly different from Age, man. So yeah, man. But I have to reinstall that. That is true. I have it on PC. Actually, TJ, you were the one who was like pushing me to get the Command and Conquer collection thing in the Steam sale. So yeah, I need to re-download that. And Red is playing Rage 2, which is an awesome game. I really enjoyed Rage 2, man.
Yep. Really good game.
Yeah.
Really good game. I think it was underrated. Really underrated,
absolutely. Like, open world game in the engine. It looked beautiful. It ran butter smooth. Great gunplay. Great gunplay in that game. So, yeah, man. I think that's pretty much what we are playing. So let's move into the news of the week.
I'll just dance for my audience.
You just dance for your audience. That's awesome. RWK88 in chat says he's playing Titanfall. Awesome, man. Awesome. Good stuff here. Good stuff. So, yeah, man. You know what's going to happen over the weekend, right?
Yes.
I've downloaded it.
Yeah, I didn't uninstall it.
Is it the same build?
Yeah.
So we are talking, of course, about the Diablo 4 Server Slam beta. Guys, let us know if you're gonna jump into that. But I have the feeling, man, that I won't be able to play as much as I want to because my You know, my little baby, my oldest son, is turning 7 this Sunday, and we are gonna throw him an awesome birthday party. And I have, he's a Harry Potter fan these days, and he wanted to celebrate a Harry Potter themed birthday. So we are preparing different Harry Potter kind of games to play with the kids and everything. So I will be a lot busy with that over the weekend. So family first, but I will still try to jump, of course, in for a bit. So
are you gonna dress up as Hagrid or Dumbledore? Who are you going as?
Yeah, I'm not dressing up. What's the English word for that? In German, we call that a Schnitzeljagd. I have no idea what that's. We play they have to solve different games and riddles, and then they get a clue to the next game they have to play, and they have to search in the forest. So we're going into the Forbidden Forest, and Voldemort has been sighted there, and then they get a letter. And then they have to solve a certain riddle, and then they find the next letter and the next letter, and at the very end we have a Lord Voldemort pinata,
And beat them up.
And then they beat them up, exactly. That's what we're gonna do, man. So yeah, that's why I won't be able to play that much of Diablo, but I'm gonna do my best because. I can't wait for the June release. But then, Dutch, there's also, of course, another thing happening, and that is Zelda tomorrow. So I think we need to talk about that also real quick. But what kind of class are you gonna play this time in the beta?
Necromancer. I didn't give Necromancer a shot.
I'm gonna like Druid. That, man.
I went for Druid, and I didn't like the Druid. Sucked. I thought the Druid was terrible.
Yeah, the Druid sucked. Nah. Yeah, the Necromancer is actually really good. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Necromancer in Diablo 3 when they finally patched him in, but this time he was really good. So I'm still torn whether I'm gonna start my full playthrough then as a sorcerer or as the Necromancer. So
Yeah, so I've done max level on Sorcerer, so it's pointless. As much as I love playing a Sorcerer, I'm not going to touch that again until the full game releases. And of course, then we'll all have to start from scratch anyway. So I'm going to get used to Necromancer next. I'm going to get used to that.
Yeah, nice, man. Good stuff there. Good stuff. So let me shout out Tronty J for sending in another $5 super chat. And he says, Command & Conquer is still the GOAT. We need a new modern one on Xbox. I do agree, man. I mean, if it's the GOAT, it's great, man. I know it's great. But Age, it's hard to argue against my love on Age. But I do agree that we definitely need a new modern Command & Conquer. Absolutely, man. So, yeah, actually, what I wanted to ask you, man, have you seen the reviews for Zelda? Today.
I have. They are absolutely insane.
It's insane, man. It's crazy. On Metacritic, as of right now, 97 on OpenCritic, a 98. All major outlets, I think, gave it a straight out 10 out of 10. It's touted as one of the best Zeldas. I can't wait for tomorrow. My copy is
not bad for a 30 FPS game, eh?
Yeah,
not bad.
At 720p, Yeah, it's true. It's true. You see, that's kind of weird. We all become hypocrites when it comes to Nintendo. We always complain about this shit, 30 FPS and bad policies and overpriced and this and that, and then suddenly Nintendo sells their games, resell their games with the super lackluster effort of doing remasters or remakes and everything. And and then we still buy it and we praise it, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm super excited. I'm checking my my pre-order all the time on Amazon. Hopefully it arrives tomorrow. But then again, this weekend is gonna be not that much game time for me, but I still can't wait to boot it up and see for myself how good the game really is.
Yeah, for me, the only thing that made me not like Breath of the Wild was the degradation on weapons, but apparently they've improved that a little bit for this one. So we'll see if it's enough for me to enjoy it more this time around. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That was the only thing that put me off the first Breath of the Wild. Was the weapon degradation. It was like even the Master Sword broke in like three foul swoops. So I was like, oh god, why would you do that? But yeah, extremely positive across the board. So
absolutely,
it's looking good.
It does look good, man. So what I've watched a few of the reviews, or read a couple of them today whilst being in the office, and yeah, it's apparently, you know, it has improved upon many things. It's gotten bigger. I don't know if that's a good thing. It could also be scary, because I've heard people, like, there's apparently an underworld that you can go to, you know, which is just as big as the regular world. People saying I needed more than 80 hours to finish just the main thing, and I have seen like 25% of the game. But yeah, dungeons are back in a little bit more in the classic sense, which is great to hear, because that was one of my criticisms of Breath of the Wild. Like I always said, Zelda is for me a Metroidvania type of game. You know, you beat the first dungeon, you get, I don't know, the bombs, and with the bombs you get into the second temple, and there you get, I don't know, the bow, and with that you get into the third, and so on. And Breath of the Wild didn't have that. They had like 3 dungeons, and that's it. And of course the weapon thing and crafting annoyed in the first one, but apparently it's improved a lot. So other than that, I can't wait. Apparently story is really good. The Zelda atmosphere is back. The Master Sword is back, man. That's something I'm excited for. So I'm gonna play a lot of Zelda. But
yeah, stuff shown in my chat says, I've never played Breath of the Wild. Should I fix that? And I've said yes. Yes, fix that.
I do
Absolutely.
agree.
If you own it, that is. If you don't own it, don't worry about skipping Breath of the Wild and going to Tears of the Kingdom, because they've refined what was good in that game and made it better in this game. And by all accounts, it's a little bit of a different story anyway.
Yeah. Good shout, man. Definitely, you can never go wrong with Zelda. Yeah, even like a bad Zelda is still
it's still a good
Zelda. Yeah, it's still a good game, exactly. So yeah, definitely a good one. Let me briefly shout out Splendiferous. Thank you so much for this $2 super chat. He says, we need Soul Reaver remake on the Series X. That's mine. I have not heard anyone say that, but I like the idea, man. Soul Reaver was fun. That would be cool. Yes. Definitely. So yeah, man, Zelda, you think there's a chance that any other game is gonna take Game of the Year, because you know that this is gonna be really, really high up there in the Game of the Year talk, with these almost record-breaking, you know, reviews, the incredible high Metascore.
Yeah, it's you know what it is. It's for personal Game of the Years, it's going to be a tough one, but I think for what you would class as critical Game of the Year, which is the actual critics voting on it, it's going to be so hard for anybody to get close to that. And at this point, Starfield has to be pretty perfect across the board. And by perfect, I mean literally match it beat for beat and get 10 out of 10s. And I don't see Starfield getting that.
Yeah.
I just don't. As great as Starfield will be, and I will absolutely be playing Starfield much more than I'll be playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Absolutely.
I cannot see critics giving Starfield flat out 10 out of 10s across the board. I've said I think Starfield at worst will get mid 80s. At best, will get 91, 92. I can't see it getting anywhere close to 97, 98.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Nope. No, it's the thing with Nintendo games. They've just got this charm that reviewers love.
That's the thing. That's hard to recapture, honestly, with any other platform, because we all grew up with Nintendo, you know. So you hold a lot of nostalgia for the IPs itself, for Mario, for Zelda, and all the others. That's of course one part, and it's just they create so relatable games. You know, Forza is awesome, but it's hard to get, you know, related to the game in as towards a character like Zelda, like Link, and so on. And that's definitely one part. And I feel like, yeah, Nintendo is definitely reviewed differently. I always wonder what would happen, man, if that exact same game came out without the Nintendo label on any other platform. Would it get the same reviews?
No. No.
It's
I mean,
exactly.
you have to look at Pokemon as well. Like that game released in a really bad performance state, like really bad. But it sold 22.1 million copies, and and it got reviewed very positively. So you absolutely not. If any game, as we found out with Redfall, released in the state that Pokemon did, it would have been absolutely slandered. It would have had 6 out of 10s across the board, but it didn't because it's Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I still know that I'm gonna have an awesome time with it, and it's just, you know, Zelda games are just something special. I know we are not looking at this rationally, probably, but when the music comes up, I feel like, you know, 10-year-old Boxenberger, when he first unwrapped on Christmas Eve A Link to the Past and booted it up on the Super Nintendo. And I mean, I'm getting the same goosebumps just hearing the theme and everything. And this is just, Zelda is just special, you know. It just is.
And to be fair, from what I've seen of the trailers and everything so far, this one looks like its story beat is far better than Breath of the Wild. It just looks like there is so much more story. In the previous, in Breath of the Wild, it felt like not like it was just open world, and then you'd talk to a couple of people, and that was it. It didn't feel like there was much of a story in there. Like you could literally skip everything. In this one, it looks like there's cutscenes. Like for Nintendo, that's a pretty significant thing. But it looks like there's actual cutscenes there. There's character dynamics. So it looks like they've improved on that front as well, which is intriguing me more for it as well. I've got a follow-up question to that, actually, Boxy, that you'll like. Jesper in our chat here says, which Zelda game is your favorite?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I think it's A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time. But there has
I was about to say that Ocarina of Time is mine.
Yeah. I mean, Ocarina was also, like, you know, it's I know for a lot of people it's probably nothing special, but I remember being a teenager. I don't know how old was I when did Ocarina of Time came out? So I don't know, it was 15 or so.
90s, somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah, somewhere in the 90s. Hang on, Ocarina of Time. Release date was 1998. So I was 15. So I was 15 years old. And there was this moment, when you first step out in the world, it was open worldish for that time, yeah. And you called Epona, and you got on the back of your horse, and you just ran off towards the sunset. This was like, I've never experienced something like that in a video game up until this point. It was just something special, man. So Ocarina of Time is definitely up there. I also need to shout out, of course, Twilight Princess, which is highly underrated in my opinion. And if there's one Zelda I wish they made a remake, it's this. It's Twilight Princess. Definitely a special one. And
I think a lot of people love Wind Waker as well, to be fair.
Wind Waker was also good. I mean, there have been great Zeldas. Which was the one on the Game Boy that just got a fantastic remake 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I know what one you're talking about. I've forgotten its name.
It was also absolutely amazing. And so, but yeah, I think my favorite is either Link to the Past or Ocarina. Absolutely. So Link's Awakening, Jagger in the chat is helping us out.
Thank you. Thank you, Jagger.
Yeah, awesome. So, yeah. So there are many great Zeldas, and like I said earlier, man, it's like playing at 30 FPS at super low resolution. We kind of need a new Switch, man. We kind of need a new Switch.
Yeah, we do. We've been saying this for a while, and I've said it, not but just for us. I think the developers, if they can create what they've managed to do with Tears of the Kingdom on 10-year-old hardware,
yeah,
and like I've even seen developers literally comment on this now, saying I do not understand how they've managed to get a game that polished on that hardware.
By the way, you're not saying that the Switch is 10 years old, but because I know that this discussion exactly.
The hardware in the Switch is 10 years old. But yeah, the developers are even calling that out and just saying, like, from a technical perspective, it shouldn't be possible to do what the developers have managed to do on that hardware, and they've pulled it off, and it's running smooth and it's looking amazing. They don't know how, from a technical perspective, they've managed to do it. So from that point, I'd love the developers to get more advanced hardware, because I think both PlayStation and Xbox would be absolutely. I mean, look at what they can do on that hardware. I think PlayStation and Xbox would be absolutely left in the dust if Nintendo got seriously powerful equipment.
Absolutely.
Because their developers are insane.
And we actually got some news on the Switch, but let me shout out Splendiferous for the $2 super chat. He says, my meta for this Zelda will be 95 with no bias. And I don't believe you. I believe you with the 95, but the no bias. And that's totally fine. Again, when it comes to Nintendo, we all are a little biased there. Which is absolutely fine. Which is totally fine. So, thank you for the super chat, man. And so this week, we got the report that, of course, the sales are slowing down. Year over year, sales for the first quarter went down 22%. And I don't
think that's going to happen with Tears of the Kingdom now.
Actually, they forecast a decline of 16.5% for the rest of the year. It's still going to be, of course, massive numbers, which they sell. But the more exciting thing is that a Nikkei source, which is like, of course, this gigantic tech company, a tech outlet, that they reported that the development of the next Nintendo console is progressing very well, but it is definitely not planned to launch before spring 2024. Then they also said that Nintendo is not gonna do the same thing like they did with the Switch, which they announced and released it 2 years later. That the announcement of the Switch will be very close to the actual launch.
Nice.
So to me, that sounded, and it's now my interpretation, of course, that we might be seeing a new Nintendo Switch somewhere next year, man.
Yeah, that sounds like if it's not before spring, then I would say that being an almost fall 24 release. I'd be up for that.
But Nintendo usually does not release their consoles in fall. Like, of course, Nintendo.
Maybe the summer release then.
Yeah, summer release, exactly. It's what I've been thinking, man. With the big rumors of the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5 Pro coming next holiday season, and I expect a Series X Pro or whatever, Triple X, Series XL or whatever it will be called.
Series Triple X.
The Series Triple X, man. Jesus. Dude, I love Xbox, but their naming conventions, it's just... How can you name your third console you release Xbox One? You know? It's just... Anyways.
I understand the thinking behind it, because the 360 was the same thinking. Yeah. So the 360 was all-encompassing. It was everything.
Yeah, I know.
Xbox One was,
the thing comes full circle. But yeah.
But it still sounds silly.
It does sound silly.
But I think, to be fair, though, I think because it's named Xbox, calling it like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, it's an easy off-the-tongue thing. But saying Xbox 1, Xbox 2, Xbox 3, it just sounds bland.
You know, I have heard, but I can't remember where I have heard this, that they actually did not name it Xbox 1, 2, 3 because they were always like one number behind PlayStation. So when the PlayStation 3 came out, they would have the Xbox 2. And when the PlayStation 4 came out, they would have the Xbox 3. And you cannot have that because it just sounds less. And so that's why they went with a different naming convention.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It makes you think, though, will PlayStation continue the numbered strategy going forwards? Will it just be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Yes. I do think so. Probably up until the 10 or so. And then I don't know if they then remake it or rename it, but it just makes sense for them. You know, it's everyone knows, okay, I have the PlayStation 4 now, and I need to get the 5 now, and then and after that the 6 and so on. So yeah, but anyway, I digress. Cruel Wrath in the chat says Xbox naming their consoles are better than PlayStation with the generic naming PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I do get the different names, but I would just choose different names. Like, yeah. Anyways, we digress. The new Switch. What do you expect from that, man?
Well, judging by other reports that I've seen today as well, it isn't going to have an OLED panel. We've seen another Japanese, I think it's Japanese screen manufacturer, say they've begun making LCD panels for a handheld device. So I'm assuming at least the first round of whatever this next thing is going to be LCD panels as opposed to OLED, which is going to keep the cost down. And if you're looking at increasing hardware capabilities but not increase the cost, then you're not going to start with an OLED panel because that's going to increase the cost by 50 quid, as we've seen with the current one over the previous model. So I can understand that from that point, as much as it's disappointing for us, because of course we know the OLED panel looks phenomenal in comparison to the previous Switch version.
Yeah.
But if they're going to increase the hardware capabilities, then having a better panel is going to be kind of least of their worries. As long as it kind of displays in 1080p, then it should be good to go. That's all you need for a handheld as well. You don't need anything more than that. Yeah. You could go for QLED, but again, it's a bit overkill. 1080 looks fine on handheld.
Absolutely.
But saying that, they need to have a solution for docked mode where it increases the power and capabilities. So when you're on a bit like the Steam Deck and a bit like the ROG Ally, you've got those power and capabilities, but naturally, when you've got it docked, it doesn't have to run in performance mode. It doesn't have to kind of chime things down a little bit and make things run all right. So I'd like to have a dock that has more than just the connect to TV functionality. I'd like the dock to provide much more of a GPU and a CPU boost.
Yeah.
To what the next Switch can do.
I agree there. Whilst I'm not expecting like a powerhouse console, because I still feel Nintendo is gonna stick to that mass market consumer friendly kind of price, which is around 400. So I don't think that they aim for a price higher than that. Maybe
Agreed.
because of inflation, 450 by then. But I don't think that they target like the 500 plus
Nope.
mark. So, and they also want to make money off of their consoles. That's just Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation usually take a hit in or make a black zero. You know, they don't lose money, but they're not making money. And Nintendo actually wants to make money by selling hardware. So I do think that we probably will have handhelds by then, and we're going to talk about the Asus Ally in a second, that probably are already more powerful than the Switch.
Easily.
Because they Switch 2, or whatever it will be called. I wish that they do what you just described. You know, have a proper docking station that is not just a stand and with a connector for HDMI, but actually have hardware in that thing, and make that thing optional. You know, you get like the boost station or whatever. You dock it in, you get a little bit extra RAM, you get a little extra boost here and there, something like that. I would love that. At the end, I do agree on the display. I do hope that they stick with the formula of the Switch, though, and that
same.
I don't want them to like move away and do something weird again, like the Wii, you know, which I know was the super successful Nintendo console, but I didn't like the Wii that much. I like the Wii U a lot more.
One thing they could improve on is the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
The Joy-Cons were good, but they were in terms of their quality, they've still got, like every platform, and again with a handheld, it's worse. But when, for instance, the Switch Lite, if you get stick drift in a Switch Lite, it's done. Like the entire console is knackered. You have to send it in, and even then, it might not fix the issue, and then you've just lost the console. Like when you've got those type of controls, they have to be perfect on a handheld. They have to be. So they need to come up with a better solution for the Joy-Cons on there, I think.
Yeah.
And even saying that, if you're going to be doing one with fixed Joy-Cons, which I think would be a better idea for, and then sell maybe these kind of separate Joy-Cons you can use if you want to do these Wii Fit stuff, sell them separately, because there's not enough games that require you to have them separate.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So just do it as a single unit where they don't detach.
Yeah.
So it means you don't have to worry about that. You sell a Pro Controller separately. If you want to sell Joy-Cons separate as a separate entity, do that. But I don't think it should be detachable from the off. I think you could probably save money by just making a singular unit. And creating separate Joy-Cons separately is an entirely different thing.
I agree. Yeah. So I do want that. What else do I want from the next Switch? You know, I want to have the option to attach a gigantic battery to it. It makes it probably more heavy, a little more uncomfortable, but like a gigantic battery pack on the backside as an option. Yeah, make it removable. Blah. Let me I want that, man. I want that. So yeah, good stuff there. Good stuff, man. Handhelds are coming back. I do have the feeling, honestly, that the handhelds have this, resurrection. Like they are back. The Steam Deck super successful. Honestly, I did not think that the Steam Deck would be as successful as it is. I was skeptical.
You know why it's successful though? You know why it's a simple one.
Tell me.
The reason other handhelds that have released as Wi-Fi only or 4G only or cloud only haven't been successful because there isn't any native downloads on there. When you start with the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck and the Switch, they're all native downloads. You can play things natively on the handheld. You don't require Wi-Fi. You don't require connections to the internet to play them. Once you've downloaded it, you can play it, no matter whether or not you've got internet. And that's key to a handheld.
Absolutely.
You can't have cloud only. It just doesn't work.
I fully agree there. Cloud is nice. Yeah. I told you that story many times. I like to play the cloud. I have like this smartphone clip on my nightstand, so I can play in bed. Like, cool. It's fun. It's good. But it's nothing compared to have your game running natively on a device. It just isn't. And I'm always with mobile reception being as bad as it is in Germany, it's nothing for playing on the go. And the Steam Deck just nailed it, They also do the online thing, of course, way better than a Nintendo does, of course. Yeah. Also the digital policies. Games are cheap in Steam. They are simply cheap. Like Steam sales are known for like ridiculous cheap prices. And you get that all on the go. People have built their gigantic libraries and you just have it right there. You have your save files there. You have everything. That's convenient, man. It's convenient. But it's still limited to Steam, obviously. Yeah. I know you can play get Game Pass natively running on this Steam. But did I tell you what a friend of mine had what he had issues with the Steam Deck? So what you need to do is basically jailbreak it. And it's easy to do. No problem there. But it is not as intended. And so he had a warranty issue, like, I don't know, 4 weeks or so after he got his Steam Deck. And they did refuse to fulfill their warranty duties because of that jailbreak thing. So, and I think that's one thing where the Asus Ally now comes in. Because earlier today, there was the official reveal for the Asus Ally. For those who have not seen it, it runs Windows natively. So you can run everything that is running in the App Store, in the Steam, on Steam, but you can also natively run everything from the Epic Store, everything you have from the Xbox, PC world, maybe PC Game Pass, or the games you have via Play Anywhere.
And that's a much bigger bonus for me because it means I can pick up the ROG, and day one, I've got all of my Game Pass native download games on there.
Exactly.
All of them.
All of them, man. All of them right there. Yeah, you can play Starfield natively without any tricks you need to do. Yeah, to get it running.
It means I don't have to buy, I can literally buy the handheld and not worry about buying games.
And
I've
exactly.
Just got games.
You have all your games, and you have the same save file. You simply continue on your Xbox, where you left off on the Rog Ally. It's awesome, man. It's simply awesome, and that's why I put it in the thumbnail. For me, I was like, dude, basically that's an Xbox handheld. It's not quite there yet, because all the games you buy on the Xbox console and are not so third parties, and are not Play Anywhere, obviously, You can't play them on PC, so you can't play them on the Asus. But other than that, it basically is an Xbox handheld, and Xbox has been on stage today with the big presentation. We get into the presentation in just a second itself, but they heavily advertised it along with the Ally. Phil mentioned it in his big interview last week. They have been now on stage today with Asus presenting the thing. You get 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate, by the way, with the device, and they even mentioned when they talked about during the presentation how they designed the entire thing, that they copied the Xbox controller layout with the thumbsticks and the buttons. So the A, B, X, Y layout is exactly the same. The thumbsticks are like asymmetrically ordered there. So it's basically...
You see, Xbox have actually been... have also today released their own advertisement post for the ROG Ally. They own on their own platform. So this is quite obviously... And on ROG's website, Game Pass is one of the first things you see on there. So they obviously have a marketing deal with ROG for this device, which is huge for Xbox.
Yeah.
Huge.
It is, absolutely. Again, that's why I put it in the thumbnail. It's basically an Xbox and PC handheld. That's what I put in the thumbnail of this show. Because, man, I'm super excited. You still can only pre-order it via the Asus website here in Germany. I wanted to pre-order it earlier on, Amazon or something. So there are 2 versions. Let us talk about this. Let me give you some facts about the thing. There are 2 versions coming. One starts at $599 US, and the bigger version is $699 US. It's the big version costs 800 euros here in Germany and 700 euros for the light version. How much is it in the UK?
What did you say it was for you? Sorry.
For me, it's 800 euros. So the big one.
All right. Yeah. So the big one, it's £699
pounds. Okay, there you go. So yeah, it comes with a 10-inch 1080p 120 hertz display.
Nice.
It has the new Z1 APU from AMD in there, which has obviously a Zen 4 CPU. Just for reference, guys, we have Zen 2 CPUs in the Xbox Series X and S. But yeah, then we have an RDNA 3 GPU. I have heard that the PlayStation 5 also has that, but this device actually has RDNA 3 GPU, and that's basically where the difference comes in between the 2 console versions or handheld versions. The big one has the Z1 Extreme chip, which has like 8 something teraflops, while the smaller version
8.6.
8.6.
Yeah, Calorie in my chat put it is $600 for the 2.8 teraflop and $700 for 8.6 teraflop.
8.6 it was, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And 2.8 teraflops for the
one. So the other one, the Z1, is releasing at a later date. They're only releasing the Z1 Extreme now. Like in June.
Exactly, in June. So that's awesome, man. And it comes with a 512 gigabyte SSD, of course, and 16 gigs of RAM. So the thing is good, man. The specs on paper are absolutely fantastic. It also comes, of course, with this full support for AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution and AMD's AMD FSR and RSR. Yeah, which is great because that's the upscaling technology. For those who don't know, the RSR is the upscaling technology of AMD for devices or games that do not support FSR. Yeah, because RSR is done on a driver level, so that's the upscaling done on a driver level. Developers do not have to code for that. That also comes with it. It will run Windows, So you can dock it. You can actually run Office on it if you want to.
Yep, if you really want to.
If you really want to, you can. And again, since it runs Windows, everything that runs on the on your PC runs there, and it comes with 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate. So I think that's the main thing. What do you think? You excited for this? You getting one? Do you think we need this in our lives?
Yeah, it's on my list of devices to get. Originally, I was thinking about getting the Steam Deck, but then this bad boy came out, so I will be picking one up. It's not going to be an immediate purchase because I've got a powerful computer. I've got the Series X, the Series S, the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation. So I'm actually going to upgrade to the PS5 first.
Yeah.
I had no reason to do so up until now, but of course, with an impending showcase, which we'll talk about soon, coming up, and both consoles focusing on next gen only now. Now is the time to start doing your switches to next gen if you haven't already. So I'm going to be doing that for PlayStation next. I'm still on the PS4 Pro as it stands. So that's my first upgrade. Then after Gamescom, I'll be picking up an ROG Ally Extreme. But yes.
I mean, there's really no point in getting the small version. For only $100 more, you get a significantly better GPU.
A significant jump in power.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it's $800, which is a lot. But I was thinking that I'm turning 40 this year, in July actually, and I think I'm gonna give this to myself for making it to level 40. So yeah, I'm actually excited for it. I told you that before. I think before the pandemic, I had to travel a lot for work. So there was a point in time where the Switch was probably my most played console, simply because of a lot of traveling. That changed. Obviously, by now I already have I have a different job. I do not have to travel for work as much anymore. Of course, the necessity for a handheld isn't as big, but this one just looks like it's such a fantastic device, man. You know,
and of course, you have to think from another perspective. Instead of playing xCloud, which is a handheld and not native, you can download the games natively and play.
Exactly my point.
Instead. Yeah.
And you know, when Xbox finally starts to release some games, man, like a Starfield, and I can just, the sheer thought alone is I can sit in my yard, play some Starfield on the Ally, watching the sunset. Kids are sleeping, and then it just gets dark. I shut off the Ally, go downstairs into my man cave, boot it up on the big screen, and just continue where I left off. This thought, man, alone is making it so tempting for me. So I'm with you, man. I have PlayStation 5, I have the Series X, I have the Nintendo Switch, I have a PC, actually. Do I really need this? No, I don't. But it is. I want it, and I want it bad. Yeah. So,
yeah,
the question really only is for me: do I pre-order right away, or do I wait till proper reviews are out and see if there's a catch, man? That's actually my only question.
I think the main catch is the battery life. So in handheld mode, it's 2 hours.
2 hours.
If it's, and that's for gaming, that's strictly 2 hours worth of solid gaming. If you mix in some media in with that as well, like if you're watching Netflix or something on it instead, or doing something else, then it might increase it to about 4 hours. It's got a max media battery life of 6, and a max gameplay only battery life of 2. So you're kind of looking at a medium in there. It's probably going to be around the 3 hour mark. Depending on how you use it. For me, I don't really play handhelds for long periods of time anyway, even the Switch. So even when I'm on the Switch, I might play it for an hour or so and then I put it down. So 2 hours isn't really a bad thing for me. That's kind of what I'm used to on Switch anyway, to be fair. The Switch doesn't have great battery life.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, it's kind of one of those things you take it with a pinch. If you're going in an airport or on a plane or something like that, the good thing about that is on planes you can plug them in and charge them on the plane.
Yeah.
And while flying, same in an airport, you can just plug it into a socket if you want to keep it charged, or if you've got a battery pack like I do, a big 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack, I can just charge it with that. So yeah, it's the downside of powerful handheld gaming
That's
is the
the
battery
thing.
life.
Yeah. And Why So Serious in the chat is so right. He says they said 2 hours for heavy gaming, so it might be even less. I agree. You know, if they say 2 hours, realistically, it's probably only 1.5. So that's the caveat to this entire thing. Absolutely, man. But let me briefly shout out also Tron TJ. Thank you, man. He sends in another super chat of $2 and says you can plug in a graphics card into it. So, I'm sorry, man. Dutch, what do you mean? If you can plug this thing into your PC?
So much like a PC, you can get GPU housing. So theoretically, you can have a separate GPU entirely. So you could essentially, when you've got this in docked mode, you can plug in using a GPU house, a 3080 or a 4090 or something like that, and use that instead of the onboard GPU. You can actually use the 4090's GPU and the 16 gig of RAM that you've got in the handheld. So theoretically, you can actually boost it and make it into a much more powerful PC when it's docked. But of course, for a handheld perspective, a Z1 chip is phenomenal. So you don't necessarily need to do that.
As it is. It is. The power per wattage is insane on that device, honestly. So I was asking myself, honestly, I remembered we had Special Nick on in January to do, our Xbox prediction show for 2023. And he said something. He said something about the Series X and S mid-gen enhanced consoles. And now my gameplay has run out, so I have to switch that in parallel as well.
I recorded 2 hours, Boxy. I'm good.
You have that capture card, man. I don't have that. I record the entire footage I record. I do that with the Xbox DVR functionality.
Unique. That's next on your list. Capture card.
Screw capture cards, man. I hate the sheer thought
For
alone.
Gamescom, you're gonna want one.
Yeah, I know. I know. For Gamescom, I do want one. That's true. But that's the only reason. But the thing is, honestly, about capture cards, with the HDR pass through, you have to turn on HDR, you have to rewire everything when you start to play, and it just sucks. So I just record with the Xbox DVR. So yeah. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Let me catch up with the super chat. I got this. Yeah. I'm gonna get the super chat, and hopefully my train of thought comes back. Right, Special Nick. I get it. But I'm still gonna read the super chat first. Eliad Sholmovich, thank you so much for 15. And I have no
lines.
What is that?
I have no idea. 15 squiggly lines.
It's the unit of this currency is like, I have to Google that now.
It looks like something from Zelda. Are you paying in Zelda money?
Yeah. It's ILS. It's the Israeli shekel, new shekel.
I have never seen that in my life.
I have not seen the symbol either. Not at all. Man, awesome. Thank you. Exactly. Thank you. That's Israeli shekel. Awesome. He says, I think Tron TJ meant the external GPU they advertised in the live stream, the 4090 and the 6850 XT versions. Cheers, friends. Now I got it. Okay, now I got the super chat from TJ. Thank you for clarifying. So yeah, that was quite interesting. I need to look into that a little bit more, honestly, to see how this actually was working. I was a little confused, honestly, during the live stream. Could have been because I was in a meeting in parallel and I was trying to listen to both. But yeah, that they have like also it works also for their laptops and such, where you can like attach 4090. And I definitely need to look into this a little bit more in detail. It's for the entire ROG family, you can attach new GPUs. And honestly, I thought this was like exactly what consoles need, like stationary consoles. Yeah, so you can simply like plugging shit somewhere in and upgrade your console.
And RAM, like increase the RAM. Let us
exactly.
The main things you really ideally need to increase are the RAM, the GPU, and potentially a CPU boost. But from a firmware patch, they can increase the clocks on the CPU if needs be.
Yeah.
So
agreed. So that's exactly. That's it. Like Asus are thinking ahead, man. They are thinking ahead. This is like if this works properly, like a genius idea,
yeah.
So yeah, good stuff there, man. Special Nick, when he was on our show, he talked about like he thinks that the Series S Pro, how would that work? And he was saying like, man, I see them making that into a handheld. So and with this Asus now being out there, I was also thinking, like, is Xbox gonna do a handheld themselves? Like, turn the Series S, which you can obviously do. I mean, let's be real here. By now, they can manufacture that exact same chip, the exact same chip with half the wattage. So cooling should be doable. Like, the Ally is in the ballpark of a Series S. In terms of performance on paper, at least, yeah. Give or take a little bit, of course, but it's like, what do you think? Is Xbox gonna do a handheld themselves with obviously the success of the Steam? We don't know how successful the Ally will be, but
it depends. It depends on what route they take. Theoretically, what they could do if the partnership with ROG and AMD is as strong as we think it is. If from a marketing perspective, they could just rebrand the ROG with the Xbox logo on it, clock it a little bit of a different way. So it's kind of not the extreme version, so it's 8.6. It's not the low version, so it's 2 point something. It's in the middle, around that Series S territory where it's like 5 or 6 maybe teraflops. So it's like a bang in the middle version for handheld. Rebrand it. And again, it is just a case of just optimizing that chip for whatever clock you want it set at, as opposed to anything else. So they just kind of change a couple of the kind of internals there. And by that, I just mean just clock it differently, rebrand it, and then have their own version of that exact same handheld. It's like you mentioned, it's already running Windows. It's already natively running Game Pass. So from their perspective, would you waste money on R&D, or would you just work out a deal with ROG and AMD?
That is a good question. I mean, again, basically, it is already an Xbox-capable handheld with it running Xbox PC Game Pass natively and everything you buy in the Windows Store as well. The problem is, of course, for us console owners, that does not go along with third-party games. Yeah, so
of course,
like I switched up the gameplay now running Jedi Survivor. Yeah, I bought that on my Series X. I can't play it on my PC, so I can't play it on the Ally, and that of course is missing. The other question is though, would the third-party publishers actually do it? I mean, so that's something. If Xbox had a native handheld, if they had one, yeah, would you be able to play all your console games? Not just the ones in Game Pass, but all your console games. Jedi Survivor, you bought that. Would you be able to? Would EA and all the other publishers agree to that? Ubisoft, Warner Brothers?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So
you can't do that on PC currently, and that's the point. Like, this is a Windows device, and you can't do it on that, and it's a Windows platform. So you.
But if it's Series X,
Xbox
just
device,
because you can't switch in between your Series X and S with one purchase.
Yeah.
And if they put it as the Series, I don't know, V or whatever, Series H for handheld, you name it.
But then if they did that, then they'd be ditching the Windows and they'd have to go down the Xbox ecosystem.
Maybe, but I see that this is already a lot of problems and trouble. So
that would be the only way to get around it. That would be the only way to play your all of your console games on handheld. Would be to ditch the Windows and go just for the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they're gonna do it, honestly, because with the Ally already out, with Game Pass being, we've heard this many times now, that Game Pass is actually more successful on PC. So you have more Game Pass subscribers on PC than on console. It's already the ecosystem they're pushing Game Pass for. So is it really worth to make a console handheld? Yeah, that is more tied into that, or are they just gonna keep that one because they know that if the Ally becomes the Xbox Game Pass handheld, and it is even more attractive for consumers because they also get their gigantic Steam libraries on there, and the one game that they got from the Epic Store because it wasn't available, Steam, and they get all those as well. I don't think that they see this as a proper business case, but yeah, we shall see, man. Dave Ramos sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, would I ever buy an Xbox handheld over a Rog Ally? I don't think so. The Rog gives me PC Game Pass and Windows. What would an Xbox handheld be capable of? Yeah, exactly,
and
man.
That's what we've just been speaking about there. It's if they keep it as a Windows handheld, because obviously it's their native desktop anyway. If they keep it as Windows specifically, a Windows handheld, then you can download the games that you buy on the Windows or Xbox Marketplace and play them natively. You can play your Steam games. You can play your Game Pass. If they just make it as Xbox OS, like Calorie in my chat said, you will only be able to play your Xbox games, not Steam, not anything else. And I think that detracts from the market that they'd probably want to have, where ideally, the one thing you don't want to do, and especially if you have a look at the what they're talking about with the CMA and the FTC and all that stuff, they want open ecosystems so that you can play things on whatever device you want. And I think that would further that if you can just play your Steam games on your device and things like that. So I think the logical route for Xbox would just to make a deal with ROG and just rebrand the ROG Ally with an Xbox logo on it. So ROG can still, ROG will still sell that ROG Ally themselves. Xbox for their marketplace can have the ROG Ally, but with Xbox marketing on it. So it's got like the Xbox badge and things like that, but it's still the ROG Ally. But again, they could just tweak it's a specific Xbox Marketplace version where it's only the 6 teraflop version or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like a kind of a mid-range market that they aim for, as opposed to not 600, not 700, but like somewhere in between. So there's numerous routes that go down, but I think it would save them fortunes on R&D if they just went down the rebrand route and just said, right, okay, let's make a deal.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, to the fact to Dave's question, what would be the one thing that an Xbox handheld would do differently? And it's got to be the third parties. It has to. They have to drop the we run Windows thing and do like this is your portable console. All the games you have on console will work on this one as well. It's the only way I see that they could differentiate themselves. But are they gonna do it? I don't think so. I just, like you said, they
And
gotta.
the issue we've got there as well is an Xbox, of course, have this issue still. But a lot of the games that you download and own can't be played offline.
Yeah. True.
And that's a major drawback. Major drawback. So if they went down the Xbox OS route, you'd have to have a Wi-Fi or a data connection in order to check it, and that's part of the issue that a lot of people have with Xbox currently, that want to be able to play their games offline.
Yeah,
with the DRM thing. Whereas if it remains as Windows and downloadable that way, the DRM doesn't really come into effect in the same way.
That's true. That's a fair point, man. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Man, I'm gonna get the Ally. The only thing is, do I wait? Do I wait and see?
I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting.
Do I wait? I'm not waiting as long as you do. Just wait until the reviews are out before I order one. So
yeah,
that's the thing. But man,
you've already got a PS5, so it makes sense.
I do.
You don't have to pay.
Exactly, man. And then when we are at Gamescom this year, yeah, I can show you what you're missing out on the Ally.
Yes,
because I'm gonna take that one with me everywhere. But man, let's move on to something else. Starfield. Where's the hype level for Starfield, man?
At the minute, it's still far enough out that I'm not overly hyped. I'm excited for it, but I'm not hyped. I think I'll be more hyped after the showcase when I've seen a little bit more of it and it's closer to that release date. But it takes a lot for me to be super hyped about a game, regardless of how looking forward to it I am, until really close to the mark.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to Hellblade 2, and it's like my most anticipated, but I'm not hyped for it yet because it's not released anytime soon. Like, I don't know a date or anything like that, so I can't get hyped for it as much as I want to.
Yeah.
Because it's just not there yet. So thankfully we have a date for Starfield. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also dreading it because it's going to take up so much of time and life.
It's true.
But yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yes, it is. So I'm still super excited for Starfield. I love Bethesda games. They made some of the best games ever made: Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, even the Fallout games. Although not up there with the Elder Scrolls series, yeah. They are just incredible. I have no doubt that Starfield is gonna be an awesome game. So we actually got a couple of news bits this week, rumors and such things. So the first is Starfield got a rating. It got rated M for mature. It contains violence, blood, suggestive themes, strong language, and the use of drugs, and a little bit of sexual content in there as well, man. So yeah, not entirely new. Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76 all received also an M for mature rating. Just to give you some context, doesn't necessarily mean you see a lot of tons of gore and such things, but just like Fallout and Skyrim and such games, there will be adult themed content in there. There's also the rumor that it will contain microtransactions.
Yes, that is overblown. It is the Creation Club, where you can buy mods, you can buy additional things via that. It's also you get the MTX thing. If you have a look on Horizon Forbidden West, you get the tag for microtransactions if there are DLC. any DLC.
Yeah.
Expansions, that includes upgrades to the game. So the upgrade from Horizon Forbidden West to PS5 was classed as a microtransaction. So it's a similar thing. And of course, we know Bethesda has its Creation Club, which is for modders. And naturally, that is those are microtransactions. So it's an overblown thing. Yeah, it is just the Creation Club. Yeah, there's going to be nothing else to it.
That's true. Probably. I mean, we do have to give Bethesda the one thing.
Might be,
they invented DLC, dude.
Yeah.
Or microtransactions. They did. People forget that. But the first time you could buy something in a game was in Oblivion, where you could buy that horse armor.
Yes.
And I remember the discussions, man. Like, who is stupid enough to buy something in a game just that your horse is gonna look a little bit different? This is never gonna take off. And see where we are. People love microtransactions. They just do.
I was gonna say I wouldn't put it past them to have some kind of armor you can buy or something like that. That's limited. Or they do, because they might have pre-order. We don't know what the pre-order stuff looks like yet.
Yeah,
so it could be that you do deluxe editions with specific armor or skins or something that you get beforehand, and then you can buy those separately.
Yeah. I could see that being in the game, honestly. Like, we've seen in the Todd Howard video. You know what I did? That I needed some positivity around Xbox after all the Redfall mess and everything, and Phil being a downer. Man, I needed some some positivity, so I went back and rewatched the Starfield presentation from last year, and there was like this sequence where they showed the customization for the spaceship and everything. I could see that being DLC or microtransaction. Yeah, you can buy skins for your ship. You can get stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if it is in there. I would be also even more surprised if it's any way, shape, or form like invasive. I highly doubt that they will have like pay to win mechanics in there, something like that. XP boost or whatever. That's not gonna happen. If there's something in there, I make a bet that it's purely cosmetics, skins and whatnot for your spaceship or your character or whatnot, but nothing else. I don't think that they're gonna ruin the game in that way. But what do you make of the adult rating, man?
Oh God, yeah, I would expect no less. I knew months ago it's heavily based on this drug that is kind of everyone is addicted to all the way through the game, and they've said no less there as well. It is the drug, and I've forgotten the name of it, plays a heavy part in the kind of story as well.
It's on this one water planet thing where they celebrate the drugs and
Yeah. So not only that, of course, then we've got to look at the fact that it is about two factions that have been at war for a long time. And then you've got kind of, again, just general kind of combat, which is shooting and killing and stuff like that. So it was bound to be mature. And to be honest, I would hope for no less. I don't think the game would work if it wasn't a mature rating.
I do agree there, man. And I do also think, and this is just my theory, after watching every footage that we have seen from Starfield multiple times now, I do feel that the game will also have some sort of like horror elements in there, because when you watch the footage very closely, they have done it during the E3 presentation, and they have done it in that Todd Howard we can do it video that he put out like earlier this year. They've shown certain sequences, and there was always like dark room, like flickering lights, and then suddenly an alien jumped in front of the camera, and every time they made a cut and moved to a different sequence. But it really felt like in those showings that the game will have these kind of elements, and I love it. that you go into a dungeon, dungeon-like, of course, in a space game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Enter a certain area level where it becomes a little bit more linear, and you have like these horror elements, maybe even jump scares or something like that. I would absolutely love it. And I do have the feeling, and that also ties into the mature rating, you know, that they don't hold back in violence, that you have like these, you know, I want the dark. I do not just want the cyberpunk space havens. I want the dark areas where you know, people get murdered, you have drug abuse and things like that. I want those space areas as well on different planets, and I do want to have proper monsters in there, which I do think we will get, and I really can't wait to see what the full game will be, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So let me shout out Tron TJ real quick again for sending in a $10 super chat. Thank you, man. Super appreciate the support. He says Microsoft should partner with Asus and to make a port on the next Xbox to add GPU, basically plug and play, make a premium Xbox that has that, but you still have the $500 for people that don't care. 100%, man. 100%. It would be, how cool would this be? What TJ says there is basically, forget the mid-gen upgrades. Yeah? Deliver us external plugins, like external box, which is a proper GPU. You plug that in your Series X, and you're good to go. Bam, more performance. Want a new CPU? Plug it in. Bam, more performance there, right there. I would love that, man. And for those who just want to continue on with the generation as it is, it's optional, man. It's optional. This would be an awesome thing to go. And what Asus has shown there today is really super interesting with those plug and play GPUs externally. So I also want to shout out Crytopsy in the chat. He says that Phil Spencer into you was enough violence, if you ask me. Yeah. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. So yeah, man. But I want again a little bit more excitement around the brand. But with the showcase, of course, coming up, I do think we're gonna get that. So yeah, let's talk about the showcases. Not real, just really quick. But let's talk about the showcases, man. I'll use that as a segue, because man, showcase week is coming up real soon. Of course, it all starts with the Summer Game Fest on June 8th. Actually, the Tribeca Festival is prior to that on June 7th. But let's be real, the one thing we're looking forward to is the Summer Game Fest. 40 games have been confirmed for that.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. I won't be able to cover that in any way, shape, or form live, because during that week we are on a 1 week family vacation trip with a couple of other families. We're going to France. We have a Airbnb there with some other families, friends of ours. So I will be there till the 9th of June. But that means that I'm back for the Xbox weekend, and that the plans. We have big plans on your channel as well as on this one here.
Yes.
You will be covering, of course, all the showcases with live reactions, and we are gonna do here on this channel post shows to the Xbox showcase. Directly after, we were gonna do a crossover with the living split screen, so we're gonna have Pong Soul and Ice Steel Rain here with us directly after the Xbox and Bethesda this time it's only called the Xbox Showcase and the Starfield Showcase. We're gonna directly start with the show here to discuss everything. We want to invite, of course, the entire community as well to come here and hang out with us. We definitely need to talk about everything that's gonna be announced at the Showcase and Starfield Direct. So this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna do a similar thing. After the extended showcase, we're gonna have Kei Asante right there, and we're gonna have Luke and maybe another surprise guest, which isn't confirmed 100%, right after the extended showcase. And Dutch, we are gonna do the biggest prediction show on YouTube. I'm calling it, man. It's gonna be the biggest one on YouTube because we have tons of creators on Saturday, June 10th. Guys, set your reminders. I'm gonna put it out probably next week as well. We're gonna have more than 15 people coming on a prediction show. We're gonna do Saturday, June 10th, the regular World of Gaming time, so 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Central Europe time. We're gonna have 15 people with Lord Cognito, Randall Thor, Jess Corden is coming on. We're gonna have Pong Soul, we're gonna have Ainsley from Seasoned Gaming, we have Gas on, we have so many creators. We have the entire community. It's gonna be a huge show, man. A huge show. More than 15 people from the creator scene coming on here to give their thoughts on the Xbox showcase, their predictions. That's the day before the actual showcase is gonna happen. So we're gonna have all our final thoughts on here. It's gonna be a massive show, man. It's gonna be wild, chaotic, raw, but awesome.
Yeah.
So tons of people coming there. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. But a little self-advertisement here and there. We have to do that. So wanted to give you also the chance to shout out what you got coming up for the showcase weeks on your channel, man.
Yeah, so of course we are covering, I've already got them all ready there. We're keenly awaiting the announcement from PlayStation of the date for this showcase.
We got some rumors there. We're gonna talk about that in a second, man.
Yeah, so I've already got all the thumbnails done for all of the showcases. So
yeah, me too, man. Me too, because I have to get them done before I leave on the family vacation. Because I literally come back from family vacation and we have to do we got to do the prediction show like 10 hours later. So it's like impossible to. So I have done the exact same thing, man.
Yeah. So yeah, we're covering the Xbox Bethesda Starfield showcase, and yes, I'll keep including them because I still suspect they'll be involved. Outside of Starfield, we will be covering the Xbox Extended Showcase.
Yes.
We'll be covering the PlayStation Showcase when that's announced.
Yes.
We'll be covering the Ubisoft Showcase again this time as well. I'm going to give them another chance, although last year was a doldrum. And still debating whether or not to do Summer Game Fest because he usually starts that very early. So we'll see what time that's hosted live because that's on a Thursday, which is during our show, or at least the World of Gaming. So it's a bit of a hard one to catch. So I don't know. It depends. You're away, actually, aren't you, for Summer Game Fest?
I'm away for Summer Game Fest, unfortunately. Otherwise, of course, we would have done probably the same thing.
But it depends, it depends where it starts. If it starts before I get back from work or return from work, then I won't be covering it. I'll just be watching it. If it starts after that and it's like 7 p.m. UK or 8 p.m. UK, then yeah, I'll be covering it. So I'll have to look at that. But yeah, we're doing all the lives. We've already planned this out, me and Boxy. Yeah. So we're doing all the live reactions. Boxy will be joining us for the Xbox live reaction. And as soon as ours finishes, we'll be forwarding all of our guys over to Boxy's channel and going to do the post-show reactions over there as well. And we'll have the full discussion there.
Absolutely. So it's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, Tom from Toonami in the chat says the after show for Microsoft will be nothing but trebuchets. Man, don't you dare talk! Don't you dare talk about H4 that way on my show, man. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So I wanted actually to talk about this with you because of a couple of rumors we have been getting. I'm not spoiling any content or anything. We're not gonna do that here. We are talking about date rumors because our good friend Jeff the Grub Man came out.
Jeff the Grub Man.
Exactly. He came out and he said that the PlayStation Showcase will be airing on May 25th. So, yeah.
Was that recent? Did he say that? Did he reiterate that?
He did. Not to my knowledge. He said he has heard PlayStation Showcase is going to air on May 25th. Apparently, with all the Konami stuff in there, Metal Gear Solid 3, Silent Hill, and of course, possibly the Castlevania thing that Jez Corden also put out as a rumor there. So take it all, of course, with a grain of salt.
A Thursday.
Why
a Thursday?
A Thursday, right here. And usually, PlayStation, what do? They air their shows at an awful time for us here in Europe. It's like 11 p.m., sometimes midnight. That sucks, man. But we're definitely gonna try to cover it, at least to some degree. Then here, right on this.
I'll be covering it live regardless of its time.
Yes,
but I'd much prefer it was at a nice time.
Let's hope it's gonna be a nice time, because I would love to do after your reaction show, or after you live stream it, I would do a post show to discuss everything. It would be awesome, man. But let's talk about this PlayStation Showcase. Do you think this is realistic, like in 2 weeks from now?
They would have to announce it the beginning of this week or next week, if it's realistic.
I mean,
I can't imagine
the State of Decay. I wanted to say the State of Decay. The State of Plays.
State of Play.
The State of Plays, they usually announce that 2 days earlier. Now, this is obviously different. Yeah, much bigger thing. So, yeah, I would agree they would have to announce it within the next couple of days, man.
Yeah, if it's not this week or this weekend when they announce it, it has to be the beginning of next week, a Monday announcement.
Yeah.
If it's going to be like literally the week after, they have to announce it.
Yeah.
This weekend or the beginning of next week. Absolutely. I can't imagine they're going to give themselves just like 5 days notice.
I don't think so either. Not for the big showcase. You can do that for the smaller shows, like the State of Plays.
Yeah.
But if that's the big PlayStation Showcase, and they have not done one last year. So for their big showcase, they need to do bigger advertisement, because with that you want to reach also more of the casual audience, maybe, and just a wider audience. Yeah. So you have to. Yeah. I do agree there. I do absolutely agree there. What do you expect? The Konami stuff has been rumored for a while now. Yeah, that they will show a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, of course, Silent Hill remake, and Jez Corden said possibly Castlevania. They picked that up as an exclusive.
And I've also seen that, of course, MGS remake being exclusive. We already knew. But apparently, Silent Hill, of course, and Castlevania are also exclusive as well to PlayStation, which is the further rumors. If that is the case, then you've got Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and Castlevania locked down as PlayStation exclusives. That's a huge win for them. Massive.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm super looking, like, out of all of them, I'm more looking, like, I'd never understand why they do reverse order remakes. Like, why would you start with 3 when 1 is the best Metal Gear? 1 is by far the best Metal Gear, in my opinion. It is the game that started all. It is the best Metal Gear.
I'm the wrong
Personal
person to judge that because I didn't like any of them.
Fair enough.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I'm not a Kojima fan. I don't like the Metal Gear games. I do think I did not play. I played 2 and 3. I didn't play 4. I tried 5.
So did you didn't play 1 when it came out on the PlayStation?
No.
You see, that's where because I started, and people think I started on the Xbox, but I didn't. I started on PlayStation. So I started with the PlayStation 1. That was my first console.
Okay.
Before the Xbox came out. So I started on the PlayStation 1. And Final Fantasy and Metal Gear were the 2 games that I got that was like solidly played them. Loved them games. I'm just confused as to why they haven't started doing the remakes with Metal Gear 1. Personally, MGS3 is good. Don't get us wrong, but why would you not start with the first and work your way to the third?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It's a good question. I don't know, honestly. Honestly, I don't care. Again, it's like with the announcement that Kojima is doing an Xbox game. Man, I also tried Death Stranding. It's just I don't get his games. I don't think they are a masterpiece. They're boring. The stories are confusing. The cutscenes are lengthy. Gameplay wise, what has any of the Metal Gear Solid games done on a gameplay level? It's not like they had great stealth, like not even close to when you compare it to Splinter Cell, or something.
Of course.
So I don't know.
Splinter Cell was a little bit later though. Splinter Cell was a little bit later than Metal Gear.
Yeah, true.
Especially the first one.
But
so
still, I don't get it. The shooting never felt good. But
see, the first Metal Gear had awesome characters. Again, and this is why we've been saying for years it should be, it's like Revolver Ocelot and Liquid Snake and what I used to call Ninja on there as well, who was kind of the camouflaged guy with a sword and everything. Absolutely awesome, and the characters in there were really good, and the story was great on the first one. And they kind of lost me after that. I just liked Metal Gear 1 to that much that the others didn't really bat an eyelid to me. Never played 5, don't have an interest in playing 5. But I would, if it was Metal Gear 1 remake, I would be absolutely over the moon, but I'm not really fussed about 3. That saying, on a Sony perspective, getting these locked down as exclusives is huge.
It is. Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and if the Castlevania thing turns out to be true, honestly, it's been way too long since we had a proper Castlevania, and we're not sure whether that's going to be a remake. Let alone which Castlevania will get the remake treatment, or if it's a new one. Anyway, Castlevania is big. That's the thing, man. Sony is out there, being aggressive again, being Sony. Not saying great that they do it, but I do get why they do it. They do it with success, and I said it so many times, man. I want Xbox to be as aggressive, whether it's through locking down exclusive content, or just be a little bit more ruthless in how you market your brand, how you take on your competitor. It's just, enough with the kumbaya, man. Nintendo, PlayStation basically argued for 1.5 years against the entire ABK deal with all they got, which I understand why. From business side, I understand why they did it, but with crazy arguments. And when you look at what they do, in reality, they do all these things that they complain to the regulators about what Microsoft might be able to do, and Xbox could do a lot of things. And honestly, the last time the Xbox has been that aggressive was in the 360 generation. Remember Mass Effect, Oblivion, all these exclusives. Yeah, in addition, of course, with great first-party games. So,
And that's
yeah,
the thing I'm more intrigued in. I don't care about the third-party stuff that they've poached. As much as I'm looking forward to seeing it, I'm more bothered about what Sony are cooking up from a first-party perspective. That is what I'm really excited for, because as it stands right now, as much as I reluctantly I went and played Spider-Man and I enjoyed it, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see what the other teams can do. I know what Spider-Man 2 is coming out. I know Wolverine's coming out, which I'm looking forward to more than Spider-Man. But I want to see more than that. I want to see what else they're cooking up, not factions. I'm not really bothered about factions. Like, what else are you making? Like, I want to see Corey's next game that isn't God of War. What is that? Because
what
that's
is
a space
that?
game.
What
That's
is
a
Naughty
space game,
Dog
so-
working on, man?
Yeah.
What
What
is
is,
Bend Studio? I want
Yeah,
to see.
Sony Bend. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
What's Sony Bend working on? Because they're not working on Days Gone 2 now. So what are they working on?
And when
so,
was
yeah.
Days Gone? That was 2019, 2020? I want to
Yeah.
say 2019. So it's been a while,
2019,
man. We don't know anything about the roadmap of PlayStation for the PlayStation 5 era. Yeah, we know Wolverine and Spider-Man, and that's it, man. The two Insomniac games. Of course, definitely, it's more than time for Sony to.
Yeah, and this is it's weird to say this because I'm obviously I'm Xbox centric. Boxy's Xbox centric.
Yeah.
So you would think we would be more hyped for Xbox, but we kind of know what we're expecting with Xbox. It's just a case of what games out of the multitude of games they've already announced are going to be seeing at this showcase. We know they're going to be, and Phil Spencer has said as much. Okay, out of Paris. Idea, and that is where I'm more excited. I'm more excited for Sony's on that side because I have absolutely no idea what they can show. Like, what are you going to show me? This is brand new stuff. It's all new. So show me, surprise me, excite me. I'm already excited about Xbox's portfolio going forward. So I'm already have the excitement of Hellblade and Avowed and Fable and Everwild, and
State
like
of
the
Decay
list
3.
is literally endless. There's Indiana Jones and
Perfect Dark and
Perfect Dark, and it just continues forever and ever. Outer Worlds 2, which I can't wait for, but on Sony's side, I don't know, and that's what I'm more excited about. I'm more excited to see Sony showcase because no one has an idea. And it's that speculation again. It's like, oh, what can they show?
Yeah.
Whereas on Xbox side, it's like, which one will we see? Will we see Fable? Will we see Avowed? Will we see this?
Yeah.
So it's a case of, okay, which games are we getting to see and which games are we getting release dates or release windows for at the Xbox showcase? Whereas on Sony's side, it's a whole new ball. It's what are they going to show us this time? So
yeah,
it's weird to say that, but I'm more excited for Sony showcase for that very reason. Whereas, don't get us wrong, I'm super excited to learn more about Xbox's games and see gameplay and stuff. I know to a point, of course, there's still going to be surprises. What I'm going to expect there. Sony's, I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue, and that's exciting.
It's a fair point, man. Fair point. I do agree that we definitely do not know anyway close to, from PlayStation than what we know from Xbox, no doubt. Just I'm simply more invested in the Xbox ecosystem, so and especially after the last 1.5 years, I want to say, ever since the Halo release, it's no secret how I feel about Xbox's performance and how they're doing right now. But I'm really excited for the showcase for that fact alone to see what can they do to get back the mind share. To is it this time really this year we've all been waiting for? You know, we've been saying this. Just wait till next year. Is it this time? Obviously, the one that we are waiting for. Is it this one? And of course, I thought about this a lot. What can they actually do to make this like a super success? The push they need, you know. And obviously, we're going to talk about this a lot during the prediction shows and when we get closer to it. But I do feel like, they can't rely on Starfield alone this year. Because Starfield, as much as I'm excited, my most anticipated game, no doubt, I was supposed to be playing this game last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I was supposed to be playing it in the first half of this year. And if you use this out as the game to fill out the rest of the year, because you don't have anything else, of course, that would be not good. So I expect them to have another game outside, of course, of Forza, because that's also one we're supposed to get already. Yeah, we were supposed to be playing this now in the first half. So I do feel like they need a story-driven game. Again, may it be a Fable. Of course, I'm not thinking Fable is going to release this year. I think still like Hellblade. I
think you'll see it this year.
I do agree. I do agree. I do think we will see it. But I think
Hellblade's going to be a big story game.
Vowed, something like that. Yeah. Another game like that this year, besides Starfield, is something Xbox would really need. That they get because that's the thing now. After underperforming for so long, they have to overperform now. They have to overdeliver. Yeah. They have overpromised for many years and underdelivered, and now it's time to underpromise and overdeliver for a while. And so I would expect a Hellblade or something else along this line. Yeah, man, we have Contraband. Where's that, man? What's State of Decay? What is the next I'm working on? Compulsion. It's been 7 years since they released their last game? 6-7 years? What have they been working on? So yeah, man. That's what I think that Xbox needs to do. Give us something else besides Starfield this year. Yeah. And Sony, of course. We don't know much about them. We know Wolverine. I don't think we will see Wolverine, man. Of course, they will heavily rely on the one big game that they have for this year, that is Spider-Man. And that people, including myself, are going to be all excited when we finally see Spider-Man. I want to see this next-gen Spider-Man, yeah? Because they already looked great. Miles Morales looked stunning. With the ray tracing performance mode, it looked incredible, man. Yeah. So where are they going to take Spider-Man 2? But other than that, I do not want to see just the 12 games as a service titles. I do not want that. Yeah. I want they will some of them will be there, but I do want to see that. I want to see didn't they buy Jade Raymond's studio?
Yep.
Want to see what that game is. Again, like you said, Cory Barlog's game, which is rumored to be
I don't know how far along that is, though. And I know Corey, much like a number of devs recently have said, we will not show the game until it's absolutely ready to show. And I think even then, from a Sony perspective, they won't convince them otherwise. A bit like the Fable, the Playground team with Fable, Xbox guys have been pushing them to get that gameplay out for a long time. And they've said, nope, you can wait until we are ready and confident enough to show it. So I think Corey's going to do the same. I don't think you'll see, as much as I would love to see what he's working on, I don't think we'll see Corey's game this year either. Of course, aside that, I do think we'll see Fable, but I don't think we'll see Corey's game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Although
it has been
3.5 years or so that he has been working on this.
Yeah. But again, does he want to show it off?
I don't know.
I don't think so, personally.
Maybe it goes to Tsushima too.
Yes. Yeah, possibly.
Could be.
It's a good shout. Or an announcement for that. But again,
yes,
you don't want to rely too heavily on, and we've seen the reports from PlayStation as well that they aren't, outside of Spider-Man, aren't releasing any other AAA games, first-party games this year. They've said that in their financial reports to investors.
Yeah.
Outside of Spider-Man, there is no other first-party games AAA games releasing this year. So
maybe
it
they
depends
still
on
have.
what they show.
I mean, they have Final Fantasy 16 still
Yeah,
coming as
they've
an
got all the
exclusive.
third
They
party
have,
lined up this year.
yeah, they
Yeah,
have they have
they've got that
exclusive
lined up.
content lined up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, just first party wise, there's nothing additional this year that's releasing outside of Spidey. But it then begs the question in this showcase, what will they show from a gameplay perspective and what will be CGI trailers? And that's the only drawback. How will Sony approach this from a showcasing perspective? Will it be trailers, like CGI trailers announcing titles? Or will they have very early gameplay footage? But would you really do that?
That's a good question, man. That's a very good question. I mean, I would say if you look historically on them, they have put out these vertical slices relatively early in development. Yeah. Remember the God of War vertical slice for the 2018?
Yeah.
That was 2 years before they released the game. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And that vertical slice wasn't actually in the game. It was a section that was similar.
Yeah.
But it was completely different when you come to play the game. It was nothing to do with it. Entirely separate. You didn't see the thing flying over. You didn't see anything like that. And that didn't happen. It was similar, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And again, are Sony going to make their studios make these vertical slices and spend time making vertical slices that could be on development?
Yeah. They've done it in the past, but then that was a different time, different leadership, different mentality,
and
much
putting
more
it into
player-oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, putting it into perspective, it's been over 600 days since their last showcase.
It's crazy, man, to think about this. Especially considering how early we are in the gen, where you actually want to lay out the roadmap and get people to invest in the new generation on your platform.
I think what they've done is they've now cycled out every cross-gen game that they've got.
Yeah,
they've cycled it out. Whatever they have announced at this showcase is purely PlayStation 5 onwards. It's nothing else. And I think that's why they kind of drawn a line in the sand. They've said, right, everything that is cross-gen is now done. Even Horizon's next DLC was only for the PlayStation 5. We know Cyberpunk's next DLC is only next-gen only. Xbox going forwards from this showcase onwards is all just current-gen only. Like the previous gen is now end from May showcase for reported showcase for PlayStation through Xbox's showcase and onwards. Outside of third parties like Ubisoft, for instance, first party stuff now going forwards is next gen or current gen only. Thank God. Thank God.
Man. It's time to move on from last gen. It's simply time. Absolutely, on both sides, man. I'm also happy, even though the first true next gen release with Redfall didn't go as planned. Yeah, I'm happy that we have not even close. Didn't. But I'm happy that we move on, man. From these.
Yeah, it didn't go as planned. You know, the problem is it didn't go as planned for Xbox, but you're not gonna have a hit with every game. You're just not. Unfortunately, in this case, Arcane just did not hit for multiple factors. There's a lot of people still having fun with it, and more power to them for doing so. I tried to play a little bit more of it yesterday, and honestly, I had the shortest. I was like, right, I'll try the next mission. The mission, I went and put a pocket watch on someone's grave, and then that was it. That was the mission. I killed nobody on the way there. There was no enemies. But I was like, nope, turned it off. I was like, I'm not doing these. This is pointless. I'm not doing it. So I just turned it off. But for those who are enjoying it, I'm glad you are. But it's unfortunate that Xbox has its first current gen only title has not hit the mark.
Yeah.
But I do believe that is going to be a one-off. I don't think it's going to be a common trend. I think the concern around that was maybe a bit overblown. I can't see, for instance, Obsidian making those mistakes. I just can't. I can't see Playground putting out a terrible game. They never have, so they're never going to. I can't honestly see Ray putting out a bad game. I can't see. There's a multitude of studios where you look at them and you go, no, it wouldn't happen. And I don't think Ninja Theory will either, from both a technical or a performance standpoint.
Yeah.
I think what the release will be absolutely on point. So there is no concern from me on the quality level. I think it is a one-off, and you have those. And if we have a look at even on a reception point of view, Days Gone didn't get the reception PlayStation wanted, yet they're continuing, and they've continued to knock it out of the park. Then you have a look at the PC releases. The Last of Us on PC was an absolute mess, a shambolic mess, but they continue and they will continue. So no, we're not going to kind of plaster the entire generation based on a couple of releases. They're going to have some terrible things. They'll learn from it. They'll improve. They'll get better. That's for both sides. So PlayStation will get better on PC. Xbox will absolutely get better on console. And these showcases coming up for both platforms are absolutely the turning point of this generation. This is where things start to kick on properly. This is what we've all been waiting for from a gamer's perspective. We want to know what these consoles can do, and this point forwards is what we see these consoles are capable of.
I do hope so, man. I do hope so. Of course, there will still be hits and misses.
Yep. That's
absolutely natural. I do agree.
And it won't necessarily just be down to performance. It could just be that the stories these people make or the ideas these people have just don't hit
or simply don't click with you. It is.
Exactly.
I agree. I do agree on I don't think we have a general quality problem. I do still think we have a management problem. It's like, I don't have doubt that games like a Hellblade or an Avowed or Fable will be absolutely fantastic experiences. My concern is more of the duration in between releases. So, yeah, but other than that, it's like you said, I think we are entering this phase of the generation where we will see what true next-gen games are. Starfield is going to be a massive game from a technical standpoint. I don't think it's going to be this super duper showcase. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't expect that from a Starfield. I expect it from a Forza. I expect it from a Hellblade and a Fable. Yeah, those will be the showcases. Pardon me, for what this gen can do. But let me shout out briefly TJ, Drawn TJ. He sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. And he says, Xbox needs to show gameplay of State of Decay 3. It's been 5 years in development and the Coalition helped. True, on the Coalition, and it's been 5 years since State of Decay 2 came out. And yeah, it's been 5 years in development. People sometimes, I see a lot of people, no, man, the same about Fable, by the way. I see this. When I always say, like, Fable is more than 6 years now in development. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, when the development started, it wasn't in full production. That's how every development of a game starts. It starts with concepts. It starts with ideas of early prototyping, stuff like that. That's how
the amount of them that gets scrapped out. If you even do yourselves a favor, if you want to know how development processes work, go and watch the Psychonauts Diary, Psycho Odyssey. It's a lot of episodes. But if you want to see how the trials and tribulations are coming up with ideas and putting them on paper and them not working and having to scrap them and starting again, that is development in a nutshell for every game. There are so many things that they come up with, they put in, they spend hundreds of hours creating, thousands of hours creating, and they just go, doesn't work, gone, and then start again from different. And every development cycle. Unfortunately, it sounds like this is why I hate when people say X game is in trouble and X game has started again and X game has done this, because that's just development.
It's
Throughout development, there are so many features and level designs and character designs that are scrapped and started from scratch, and this is how it works.
Exactly. That's just how it works. So when we say, or like TJ in this case said, 5 years in development, doesn't mean the game has been in full production for 5 years. It just means, they've been playing around with ideas, creating prototypes, and for whatever time it's now in full production, the game is out there. Todd Howard himself said, they usually only take 1 to 2 years in full production for their games. That's like, but the big amount of time is creating ideas, getting prototypes ready, the creative stuff, man. And at the very end, you're gonna deliver that in State of Decay 3. It's long overdue, man. I want to see it, especially since it's still a smaller team. That's the thing, the bigger the team, the longer it'll take. Normally, there's always the example that proves the rule, but it's that exact thing, if you're a small team, you develop your game, or you can do a lot of things more agile, faster, and so 5 years is for such a small team, and it's still a relatively small team over there at Dead Labs, is already a lot of time. We have heard the coalition help, which is great. We also know that they built or founded a new studio that is solely focusing on animation and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And following up on that super chat is one from Tom from Toonami. He sends in $2. Thank you, man. He says, State of Decay just went full production in January. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure, because we've been hearing for years now that they've been working on that game. I don't know if full production started in January this year. But I might be wrong here. If you have a source, man, let me know. I'd be happy to learn.
You get Dave's?
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 I did not get Dave's. I just wanted, because it was related.
Okay.
So, Dave's sent in a super chat, $5. Thank you, man. He says, what won't be like Redfall? Diablo 4. Sure, seems like a flex move to have done the beta. Love it when devs get their games out early. So, yeah, man. Diablo. Dude. Over the weekend, SummerSlam beta is gonna happen again. And then June is gonna be here soon. And we're gonna make World of Gaming clan. So I'm gonna definitely let you guys know all about that here on the show when it's time for that. So if you need to team up, then we're gonna have a blast with Diablo 4. It's gonna be so cool. And Tom from Toonami follows up. He said, no, they did.
Was stated in their dev diary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To be fair, it could, in terms of their full production, they could have absolutely everything in place in order to get started on it with a full team.
Yeah.
Now they've, as Pixelbit G mentioned there, the State of Decay 2 team has been in skeleton crew, but to their as a major positive, the amount of work that State of Decay team have done to State of Decay 2, releasing yet another humongous update this week for that game. That game's had such a transformative kind of shakeover since its release. So much free stuff. It is insane. We're talking graphical upgrades, performance upgrades, multitudes of different add-ons and expansions and everything for free. None of it's cost anybody a penny.
The support for this game, again, from such a small studio for so many years, it's absolutely incredible. And honestly, I can't wait for State of Decay 3, because State of Decay 2 wasn't, it wasn't the best game ever made. It had tons of bugs when it launched. And yet, there was something so special and addictive to this formula. I was like sitting there, in the evening, late night. I'm just gonna loot one more house, man. One more house. And then all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and you hate your life, and the next evening you're gonna just continue to do the same shit. It's like a fantastic formula, and with them now having bigger budget, proper support, technical support, Microsoft backing the entire thing, I can't wait what they will be able to deliver with the State of Decay 3, man. I'm excited for that game.
Yep.
So, I think we caught up on the super chats, man. So, woo! Already 2 hours and 20 minutes into the show. So, 2 more topics before we get to the community questions. So, I think one is a faster one. The other one is like maybe a little more extensive. Sony shut down her studio, man, and I wanted to talk about that with you. Because it happened over the news happened over the weekend, so it's probably old news for some of our listeners now. But we didn't have the chance to talk about this last week, and I definitely wanted to talk with you about that. They shut down Concrete Genie, the studio behind. They shut down Pixel Opus, the studio behind Concrete Genie. And it's not the first studio that they shut down over the last couple of years. They've closed down, I think, 7 different studios over the last 3 years or so. And it's like, yeah, man, when Xbox does something like that, the outcry is huge. Everyone's talking about that. Even the PlayStation podcasts talk about that. And so I definitely wanted to talk to you about this. We've seen that Sony has moved away from letting smaller experiences be available on their platform. I think this is what this comes down to. Yeah, we know that they only want to have the big AAA blockbusters. But that's one thing that Xbox has done so well, and it actually has carried Xbox for many years now. Other smaller experiences. Look at last year. They had nothing in terms of bigger releases, and yet they had the fantastically reviewed Pentiment and Grounded. And we know that Xbox lets a lot of developers run their passion projects. I mean, Grounded is the perfect example. That game is massive. Millions and millions of players. Yeah. I think, was it, Dutch? Was it 12 or 15 million?
10. Well, it might have been 15 now, actually. Yeah, it was about 15
that they reported, now. So that would have never happened if you do not let those smaller studios grow and do their passions. And State of Decay 3, perfect example. We just talked about that. That studio is not big. It's not. State of Decay is not this massive, AAA shiny game. The third one might be. We don't know where they will take.
The third one definitely will be. Yeah,
but that's what Xbox does. Yeah, and on the other side, we see Sony shutting down these smaller studios. They are not even happy with games like Days Gone that apparently didn't perform after selling millions and millions and millions of copies. So what do you think, man? What's going on there?
I can understand. There's two ways to look at this. I can completely understand why they shut it down. So they did a performance review across the board on which studios are actually doing something that's worthwhile and which studios aren't, which studios can perform and which studios aren't performing. And in their reports, they opted to close down the studio because for financial reasons, essentially. They're just the kind of, what do you call that, when they're kind of tightening the belt. So that's the reasoning behind it. But they were very brutal in a fashion where they didn't say thank you for your service, etc., etc. They were just like, after a performance review of the group, we've opted to close down Pixel Opus, and that was it. Pixel has put out a lovely tweet saying our adventure's coming to an end. Thank you everybody for your support across the years, so on and so forth. But nobody, like outside of Sean Layden and a few of the other kind of PlayStation studio heads, no one from PlayStation put out a thank you or anything like that. It was I thought that was a bit of a horrible thing to do, to be honest, after a team's put out some really cool little games for you across the years. I think they need to treat their studios a bit better. And even those that they're letting go, thank them for the service that they've gave to the company. Thank them for the experiences that they've created for fans on PlayStation. Be a little bit more human when they make these announcements, because it felt very much detached. It was very much, and I don't like that approach. Like, these are livelihoods that you're ending here. Have a little bit more of a humane response when you're doing it. Don't just make them another number. And that's how PlayStation's response was to me. It was another number. I understand the reasoning for it, but I just think a more of a human touch to the announcement wouldn't have done them any harm. And that's really the only thing that I say about it. I understand that they're not making massive profits, and I agree as well on your front that Xbox are an entirely different approach, and this is what makes both platforms entirely different. Xbox are willing to spend that money on these smaller, very niche titles that might not make the mega money. They might not make the mega money, but they don't care about that, because if 100,000 people play it, 200,000, 250,000, 500,000, 1 million, whatever that number is, they're more concerned about new experiences that different people are looking for, regardless of the size of the game. And at the end of the day, Microsoft aren't bothered about spending a couple of 100,000 on a Pentiment or 1 million on a Pentiment, when big major AAA games that Sony are paying for are costing upwards of 50, 60, 70, 100 million, 150 million, 200 million, and that's what they're focusing on. They want to take all of their resources and put them towards the AAAs, where Microsoft want to give everybody a chance, and they've said that internally. Listen, if you've got ideas, bring them up. If you want to have your idea, and pitch it. If it pitches well, and we like the idea, regardless of how wacky it is, we'll make it happen, and we'll let you make that game. And I like that. I like that approach.
Absolutely.
Sony clearly just want a different way of things, and
you know what I
that's
think,
what makes the platforms different.
You know what I think that plays a big role here as well as the business model itself. If you solely rely on basically selling your games at full retail price, of course you're probably not willing to take as many creative risks. Maybe on smaller or bigger games. Because at the end of the day, you always make the bet on, do I make my return of investment? And if a Pentiment came out, and it would be only available through retail, maybe digital or with actual physical copies to sell. But if you would only be able to play it by buying the game, by purchasing the game, do you really think that game would have been bought by many? Probably not. Probably not. So it helps to have this subscription service based model where you don't have to rely on the game actually selling X amount of numbers in order to make your money back. Because at the end of the day, you're just delivering content for your subscribers to keep them subscribed, to keep them happy. And so it allows you to do different things.
But I think you also have to have a look at, and I think this is where PlayStation will be looking at as well, is they'll be looking at what their gamers play on that console. And what PlayStation gamers play on their console is definitely not what Xbox gamers play on their console. Xbox gamers definitely play a more varied kind of style of game now. And because of the way Game Pass is. So you tend to find, I mean, even if you have a look at...
it's not just Game Pass, it's also the ID at Xbox program. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to just mention that.
250,000 people have played that game already.
Yeah. And it's
a 6-hour game made by a really small team.
And that's the thing.
250,000 people. That's insane for an indie.
PlayStation 4, at the very beginning of this generation, during the PlayStation 4 generation, Sony
Massive
relied
on
a
indies.
lot of on indies. Yeah, people were calling it the indie station. Yeah, but they've moved on from that. They are not supporting those anymore. We've heard it so many times how the developers complain about them not putting smaller experiences in the storefronts. Yeah, to be able to actually get discovered. I mean, that's the problem with indies or for indies. Yeah, they don't have the big marketing budget. They need to be discovered. They need to be discovered on the storefront. You browsing through the App Store or the Xbox Store or whatever, and discovering those. And if the platform holder, aka Sony, does not help you to be discovered, which Xbox does with all the ads that they put out for the ID at Xbox program, of course, through Game Pass and all these things, it's just not, not worth trying for you on there. And that's why we've seen so many indie developers, even though that the potential install base is significantly lower on the Xbox right now, when compared to PlayStation. So your potential customer base is lower, but the potential to get discovered actually is significantly higher. So and them shutting down the studio, it just shows that it's AAA or nothing for Sony.
It's just not something they're willing to fund. Is basically how it is. Now, that's not to say that they don't partner up with indies to bring indie experiences to the PlayStation, but they're not willing to fund in-house. They're not willing to fund them smaller experiences. They're going to focus their own internal funding on creating AAA experiences.
I agree. So, let's see if that will change someone in the future, because, man, some of the best indie...
It also makes me think, what's Yoshi going to do?
Yeah,
because Yoshi's very much... He is the indie guy for PlayStation.
Yeah. And even that, man, that felt like, at the time when they announced that, it felt like a demotion, not a promotion.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And... yeah, we shall see, man. Speaking of indies, by the way, have you heard Hollow Knight has been delayed, man?
Only past June. And to be fair, at this point of the year, we kind of expected that.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Of course. Still, man. I was still hoping for like a surprise drop at the Xbox Showcase or something. I don't know.
You never know. They could, at the Xbox Showcase, they could announce like an August release or something.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
You don't know.
Or a July release.
That would be awesome. Not even be that far July or August, I would be happy with, man. September, not so much, because then it's all Starfield, baby.
Yeah.
So, one more thing before we get to the community questions, man. ABK. We have not talked about it since the CMA blocked it. So 2 things happened this week. First, we learned that Xbox apparently hired like a shark, an EU lawyer that is has been defeating the EU regulators in competition cases. In the past, he presented Apple after the EU demanded that the company pays $13 billion in taxes because it was claimed that Ireland had offered it illegal state aid, and they won. He also represented Intel last year in a successful attempt to overturn a decade-old $1.1 billion fine after the EU claimed it was unfairly dominating the microchip market, and a couple of other cases, of course. So big-time lawyer, man, a shark. They want to appeal that with all they can afford. I don't want to know how expensive that guy is, man.
Well, they've got 2, because Bethesda's hired someone that's equally as shark-like.
Yeah.
He is the Queen's consort. So he's one of the Queen's lawyers, or was one of the Queen's lawyers, but he's a royal lawyer. So, so yeah, he's also big up. He's again in the UK. He also helped with the Apple case and multiple others. So yeah, they're not.
They are not messing around, man. And I don't think that, because for the most part, we've seen Brad Smith, vice president of Microsoft, taking the lead in this now. And I don't think that he is also like, like this pit bull that bites in your leg and does not let go. And that's how I feel that he's kind of a business guy, and he's not gonna let this go, man. So what we also learned this week, and this is quite interesting, is that the EU regulators will apparently clear the Microsoft Activision acquisition next week on May 15th. It's claimed. Even though the verdict was supposed to come out on 22nd, they moved that up a week. So, what do you think? Will we see the
Pinch of salt? Pinch of salt. We had the same reports for the UK before Microsoft found out that it got blocked. There was the same reports came out earlier saying the UK is set to approve the deal, blah blah blah, and then it's blocked. So I would say take these reports with a pinch of salt until the EU have came out and said it's approved.
What do you personally think?
Because of the way the EU have reacted to such a market that they can't really define. And again, this is why Microsoft are going to battle it. I couldn't really forecast what the EU are going to do at this point. I would love to say they're going to approve it, but I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't know. I think at this point it's 50-50 on whether or not they do or don't.
Yeah. I think so too. 50-50 is probably a good guess. It's crazy to me still, if I think about it, that the CMA blocked it over cloud. If they would have done it over console, I would have disagreed with them. But at least I would say, okay, come on, that's the wrong way to look at it, but it would make sense. But to block this deal over a market that is literally non-existing for like the 1,000 people playing cloud in the UK, I don't know. I think way out of proportion, and it blows my mind that they actually did it. I do have more hopes for the EU, honestly. But then, like you said, we all were certain that the CMA is gonna approve as well. And so I think if the EU blocks it, it's over. I don't think they can fight it on all ends against the FTC, against CMA and the EU. But if the EU approves this, I think it will also help them with their case in order to appeal in the UK.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
and I think they'll definitely use it, because even then they'll say, listen, and then comes different kinds of pressures from UK regulators. Because as we know, prior to Brexit, they were pretty much in tandem.
Yeah.
They asked each other the same things. They came to the same resolution. 9 times out of 10, they came to the same agreements. If one approved, the other approved. If one blocked, the other blocked. So if this is the case where the EU approves, then I think the CMA are going to have a real tough job on their hands trying to block this, like, after appeal.
Agreed. So yeah, man, we shall see if this is actually gonna be over at some point, or if it's gonna go on forever.
It's still not past, because at this stage it's still not past the extended deadline ABK and Microsoft have for the agreement, so they don't need to talk about that yet, although that will be in discussion, whether or not to extend it further. And if it doesn't get extended, or if it goes past the point again, then they would have to talk about redoing the deal again. But that's something that they'll have to worry about at that point. But yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. So, yeah, let us move to the community questions, man.
Let's.
So, man, this week we have some awesome community questions because, each and every Wednesday, people can write in. Usually they do that on Twitter or on YouTube directly, sometimes on Xbox directly or PlayStation and or in the Discord. And this week we got quite a few interesting ones. Oliver T writes in and says, "Hey Boxenberger, recently you answered one of my questions and did a poll about 60 FPS versus AI if you would have a budget to hire only one genius developer to optimize the game." You remember that, Dutch, when we did that poll? Yeah. So he says, "Seems now people complain more about the Redfall AI than 30 FPS. Don't you think that in that specific case, the bad AI in Redfall hurt the game more than 30 FPS? In that specific case, what would shift more the user's perception if they had released it with either a solid smooth 60 FPS or even 120 FPS, or an amazing AI never seen before where the NPC teams up wisely? In this question, I don't take into account any bugs or other problems the game has. Thank you and have a great show."
AI every day of the week. The AI is dumb. I could play that game at 30 with the extended field of view and it would be playable. But that AI just makes it so much less fun. They are thick. There is no purpose to them. As I mentioned previously, I've never known a game where you can snipe one AI standing next to another and the other one doesn't budge an inch.
Yeah.
He just stands there as if nothing's happened, as if his buddy's not just been murdered beside him. It's just like, okay, and then just carries on walking around as if nothing's happened. And every other shooter that I've ever played, if you shoot one guy who's standing next to another, the other guy ducks for cover or runs away or gets into cover somewhere or does something. But the AI in this game don't move. You can just take them all out one by another and nothing happens. AI absolutely needs to be fixed in this game, and I think that would make it so much more enjoyable.
So I absolutely do agree with Redfall needing a better AI. Would make it definitely a better game. In general, it depends on the game, man. Because
specifically this one, for this question, specifically
for
Redfall.
This one. See, it's hard to say if it still would have the blind mission design and the empty open world and all the other things. The AI alone would not change, would not make this suddenly a great game.
But me and you have played it on PC at 60.
Exactly. I wanted to say that I've played it at 60. Yeah. And it also doesn't make the game suddenly a good game. So I'm always up for gameplay changing elements. I think in this day and age we sometimes focus way too much on pixels, on frames, and all that kind of stuff when a Zelda comes out at 30 FPS, running at 720, and not even with a super fantastic graphic style, and actually can win all the awards, gets 97 Metacritic. Just shows you gameplay is key, man. And what makes great gameplay? What do I want to see as an improvement? AI is one part, but I also always say I want to see like better physics in games.
Yeah,
better simulation of environments and stuff. Would all these things help the immersion? And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. When you have great immersion in a game, the game is just awesome. Yeah, and you don't need like native 4K all the time for that to have great immersion. So great question, man. Tom from Toonami also follows up and says he would like to talk about the fact that the team that made Redfall is already moving on to their next game. I've heard that, man.
they are.
I've heard that.
They are. They've got another team working on Redfall.
The thing is,
to fix the basic issues.
Yeah, they've always worked on multiple projects. Like Deathloop was in development in parallel to Redfall, obviously. Yeah, and Dishonored was obviously in development parallel to Prey. So not surprised by that, and I wouldn't necessarily, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, now they already moved on, they're not going to fix the bugs and do this or that with the game. Don't think so, that this is going to happen necessarily.
No, they're still working on the bugs. They're still getting 60 frames mode out. Everything like that's still happening. Again, they get a smaller team working to fix the issues and then correct it and then work on content. And the other part of the team moves on to the next project and starts. That's how these big AAA studios work. You can't remain stationary. You have to, as soon as one gets done, you have a wee bit of a break, a week or so, and then you go, right, next. What's the ideas? Where we're going? What we're doing?
Exactly.
You don't stick with the same thing. You can't. Otherwise, it's time wasted. So yes, they will continue with the current one. It won't be a lot. It won't be the entire studio. The vast majority of the studio moves on to the next project. There'll be a small section stay behind and work on that game with another studio, which we know they're doing. Like a third party in order to kind of get that game up to scratch and fix the issues and add the content and so on and so forth. So yeah, that game's not going to be dead on arrival. Microsoft wouldn't let that happen either. We've seen State of Decay and what they've done there. We've seen Sea of Thieves. Microsoft aren't in the position of just letting games die. Even as bad as Halo has been from its content perspective, they've consistently updated that game, added stuff to that game, changed things, tweaked things. So as bad as things look on the first instance, they're never going to just let it rot. They're going to do as much as they can to get it into a place where it's good or okay. They're not just going to leave it.
I agree. I don't think they will be able to turn it into a good game all of a sudden because, like, honestly, the performance things and such things are not the biggest problem of the game. But I do agree. I expect the support. RSJ fan writes in and asks, is Xbox doing enough to compete with PlayStation and other gaming platforms, or should they change their strategy?
They're not going for the same strategies, so it's hard to comment on that. On a AAA standpoint, no, they haven't done enough. But do I think they have enough in the pipeline to compete? Absolutely. But in terms of both companies' strategies going forwards, they are completely different. So it's hard to comment on the future. But in terms of first-party output, we all have to agree Microsoft haven't done enough. Yeah. But I am absolutely confident that what they have in their portfolio and what we know that they're creating is enough to compete going forward.
I think so. Shadow of a doubt. I do agree there, but I would like to add something because she's got a point. The thing is, we've been saying this that we as the console gamers, mainly console gamers, feel like second-class citizens. And I think that is a strategy that Xbox needs to change. While I get why they think that their future is cloud and that their future is the ecosystem, you cannot forget about the fan base that brought you where you are, and that is console gamers. Yeah, Xbox started out as a console. It's become an ecosystem, which I love. I love the ecosystem approach, but again, console gamers cannot feel second-class citizens. Cloud isn't a market yet, and it hasn't been for the last 3-4 years, and it will take another 10 years until it's a proper market that you can view as your own and focus on. We know that PC is big for them. Said it earlier. Most of the Game Pass subscribers are, or that not most, but there are more Game Pass subscribers on PC than on console. But is it really surprising? Yeah, is it really surprising that it's this way when you don't have the content yet? And this is what they need to do. PlayStation is their biggest competitor. If they wanted to view it like this or not, it is. And I think so. If by focusing again more on the console gamers, I do think that they would automatically be able to compete more also in the other markets. Because a happy console gamer on xCloud is going to use xCloud and grows that market into its potential. So I do think that they could need a change up. Let me follow up with a Dave Ramos question, man. He says, you could choose to have coffee with only one of these gentlemen. Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, Tim Sweeney, Gabe Newell, or Doug Bowser. Who would you choose? Why? And what would you want to discuss? And what drink are you going to order?
Phil Spencer. Jim Ryan's corporate. I wouldn't talk with him. Tim Sweeney's far too outlandish in his opinions. Doug Bowser, I don't think he's too personable.
I have no idea how Doug Bowser is actually. You know, with Reggie, Phil, Amy, we knew that guy. Yeah, exactly. He was like a public figure.
If you said it was Reggie and like Sean Layden, and that would have been a more difficult question, Dave. But no, it's Phil. Phil's much more personable. I feel like I could have an actual conversation where we'd listen to what I'm saying. And I know that would be the case as well, because I know people that have spoken to him on a personable level. And he pays attention to what you say, and he does listen to what you have to say and take on board your criticisms, etc. So from that perspective, absolutely, Phil. I don't think Jim Ryan would care what I had to say, to be fair. He's a corporate guy. I've dealt with corporate guys throughout my time in my job, and honestly, they'll say whatever you want to hear in order to get your way. And that's the feel that I get from Jim Ryan. He's a PLC guy. He's the guy that tells you everything's rosy when it's not. He's the guy that believes in his vision even though it's falling apart around him. That's the Jim Ryan guy. That's not to say PlayStation's falling apart, but he's corporate. Corporate guys are all the same. Phil Spencer's worked his way up to that part. He's worked his way all the way through. Is from the ground level, essentially, with Xbox, all the way up to the point that he is now. Jim Ryan's been appointed into this state. He hasn't been the guy that's come out through the ages with PlayStation. He's been appointed into that position. Unlike the likes of Sean Layden, unlike the likes of Herman Hulst. Again, Herman Hulst, I'd like to have a drink with as well, to be fair. He'd be a cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, Phil Spencer, absolutely. And drink-wise, see, I like a good cocktail as well. I know Boxy likes a good cocktail.
Yeah.
I'm all for an espresso martini. I love an espresso martini.
Sounds good. I would probably also sit down with Phil, simply because not just for all the reasons you mentioned, but also, well, it's my main platform, and I've not been happy with Xbox lately, and I would like to sit down and have a chat with him, an honest chat, not in public, with a good scotch in my hand. to answer that question
Yeah.
also. And then I would like to discuss simply how he views this, how the situation. Yeah, is he really? Why does it feel that he wasn't able to do something about the pipeline issues that they had, about the performance issues? What are his honest thoughts? I would like to see that, hear that, man. Off the record, in private. And so, last question of the day, man. Sith Lord sends in this one and asks, do you guys or actually he wrote, do you gentlemen watch anime? And if you do, what's your favorite and what are you currently watching?
Not these days, but I did grow up watching Dragon Ball. So I've watched all of the Dragon Balls, and I still go and watch the Dragon Ball movies when they come out. So yeah, Dragon Balls will always remain number one to me. Whether that be Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, any of the Dragon Ball films, you name it, I've seen them. So yeah, Dragon Ball. It's the original and always will be GOAT.
I'm not an anime guy. Never have been. Probably never will be. I play so many games. I watch so many.
You did enjoy the Cyberpunk anime though, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one. But other than that, I honestly have to think if I've ever really watched one. You've watched a single episode here and there, but
yeah,
just not for me, man. Taste is different, and anime is simply not for me. But with that, Dutch, let's wrap this show up, man. We're closing in on the 3-hour mark, which is absolutely awesome. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who showed up here today. Not just in this stream, but of course also in your stream over there, because we've been streaming this show to both channels. And I also want to say a big thank you to everyone who listens after the fact, of course, not just here on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Thank you for lending us your ear for the last 3 hours. We do hope you enjoyed the show. If you do so, hit the like button on the way out. We would truly appreciate that. And I also want to say a big thank you, of course, to everyone who supports this channel, not just with the channel memberships, but also, of course, with the super chats that came in. Super appreciate that. Those means a lot and helps a lot out. So thank you guys for that. And Dutch, also thank you to you for hosting here today with me. Let people know what you are working on, what you've coming up, man.
Yes, indeed. So again, thank you for chats on both sides. I've been keenly watching everybody's chats on both my stream and your stream. So it's been awesome to do this first crossover podcast with yourself. It's great to see everybody tuning in across the board there. So thank you to everybody who tuned in for the super chats, for the memberships, etc. On both channels. And as like Boxy said, of course, like, share, and subscribe it out if you did enjoy it. And of course, enjoy it on the podcasting platforms afterwards when that's uploaded as well. So thank you to those guys, and hope you enjoy it as well when you listen to it. But for me, we are back again on the weekend with the weekend edition. I am also joining PTK Blam for a super late one for me on Saturday/Sunday morning, because it starts at 2 a.m. Woo! But that's joining BTK Blam and Pong Soul and Marv and things like that as well on Saturday/Sunday. So that's going to be enjoyable.
Nice.
But again, with it being a weekend, I don't mind doing those super late ones then, because at least I can get a lie in. But yes, other than that, of course, we'll be returning next Wednesday for the weekend edition. So for the midweek mix-up podcast. And I'm just we're going through the motions really and getting these podcasts down until it's showcase season. And I can't wait to start that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Showcase season is going to be awesome.
So busy, but so fun.
Remember how exhausted we were last year? Doing last year we did, I think, in 1 week 5 shows or so. It was like,
Yeah.
But I can't wait. It's the gamers' Christmas season, so it's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And we're gonna share all the details for those shows and everything we do around that next week. For now, I want to say again a big thank you to all the viewers and listeners in both chats. Enjoy Zelda if you get it tomorrow. Enjoy the Diablo Beta over the weekend. Whatever you play, it's a fantastic time to be a gamer. So many great games to play right now. Enjoy those. And we see you guys next week. And don't forget to game on.